Dongju used to be a medal champion in the series with his friends. Everyone has a certain medal in their own field, but that's Dongju's past because now he's just a police officer who is used to being demoted to a patrolman. Now he is so poor that he has no money to spend. I have to bring the same medals that I have won and sell them just to earn a few coins. After selling everything, he only received exactly 500,000 won back. Looking extremely miserable after having money, Dongju immediately went to a place to make billboards, make someone a sign for the convenience of noodles. Meanwhile, Dongju's brother is Go-Man sick. This winner of the wrestling medal is also a police officer like Dongju, but his position is not very high. Everyone is just as poor as my brother. Just go to fill up the gas but also ask to pour 50 for 100. As an employee touching gas, you also have to look at man sick with contemptuous eyes. That's why it's just as black as my brother who broke down in the middle of the road, causing him to arrive late, and as a result, he was touched by the director for a few shots because he was frustrated with the journalists who wrote nonsense about him. It was a black day for him when the car had just broken down and his leg was also broken. The police chief also came to visit his brother at this time, and learned that his brother was not only poor, but also used his old disguise to replace the pierced one. Man sick just told me that his money was given to his wife and children to the Philippines to live. Hearing this, he was moved to tears and gave Man sick his bank card, asking my brother to change into a new Guise, but with one condition, that is to call my brother to come back to participate in a project. Catching the criminal rabbits in this printing area, I found out that the police chief wanted to take advantage of that gold medal winning boxer to come back because he didn't tear up the download fee. Man sick wondered why he wanted to entrust the management of that brother to him. It must be said that Dongdu used to be a mobile policeman, but because he brawled and injured his comrades just because he accepted bribes, that's why he was demoted to be a patrolman. Not to mention that the boy is also very good. Man sick told him what kind of monkey poop is good, what is the use of doing a poop. Man sick was the victim who was beaten by Dongdu to break his nose, so he refused to accept this brother. But for each crime, the police chief used a card to shake the hole. He said that if he accepts the investigation this time, he will remember that the director of the department will be promoted. Dongdu's third friend is Ji Hannah, a rifleman who won a gold medal and is now also pushed by life to become a policeman. She was also forced to film the director of the department so that he could tell reporters even though she didn't like it very much. The sheriff told her to try to please him and take a few pictures with him. Although Hannah didn't like it very much when the name of the director of the department kept relying on her power to make it difficult for her. But now, athletes with gold medals can only starve to death without a job. But when she put on a pile of medals to let the director of the department seal the canvas, she was immediately held by her colleagues in the office and despised her. Tell someone who only knows how to walk through the back door like you, what experience can you have to be transferred to work in the field? No matter how hard he tried, he was just a person who became a police officer by playing a medal which had no effect in the first task that Dongdu was assigned. He was extremely excited, so he put on a police uniform, punched a few times, and was chained by his superiors to ask him what he was doing. Then took off all the clothes that Dongdu was wearing. The task of both of them is to disguise themselves as civilians to track the target, not to come out like a policeman. After speaking, because he was too sad to urinate, he had to stay here and not go anywhere. Currently, the police team of Yensung Department is coordinating to investigate the Golden Rabbit Gang. Just arranged the scene of solving the case so that the director of the department was able to get a faction. Everywhere there are hidden policemen who work as electricians, and the snatchers are understood just to spy on a junior of the Golden Rabbit Gang. But while watching, an explosion suddenly occurred that made the junior realize. He shouted for his captain to run away because the police were already here. The captain snatched the dike and discovered the leader of the Golden Rabbit Gang on the roof. Lean ordered everyone to chase him first so while fleeing. The golden-toothed man Lee Sangin didn't know how to run, but accidentally glanced at the chained brother who was sitting in the toilet. As a result, the chain that had just opened the door was blocked by him with a wooden plank. Bring the chain and scream to the crowd, stop that golden rabbit. So in order to prove that he was not useless, Dongdu decided to fight with him for a while. This yellow-toothed rabbit is not medium. Until he saw himself in the mirror and was distracted. Dongdu was knocked unconscious by him, causing the police to constantly blame his brother for going to the door later. And the brother with the chain forgot to zip his pants. At the police station at this time, Dongdu's close brother, De Hong, was also placed because he was a professional discussant. His fate is no different from the other 3 people, when he is constantly talked about by his colleagues. But the pink goat didn't care at all because he still had his family behind him. During a work of guiding children across the road, suddenly a red car quickly rushed over, making the red goats wary. Fortunately, he rushed out in time to save the child before being stabbed by the fake name. This is the person who often appears to destroy the street. Besides, the chain membrane with the crowd on this side was blamed by the captain of the goat. Why did he lose the golden rabbit when the rice was already prepared, but just eaten? Do you know how many days my team hasn't eaten or bathed just to wait for these guys on duty? And who else is the kind of person who goes through the back door and asks to pretend to be a policeman? Dong-du must have felt very sorry after hearing it, but he couldn't refute it. When I left, I suddenly met an acquaintance who he had secretly liked for a long time. He was about to come and say hello, but Hannah was not very happy. What's the point of laughing at just my printed sign? There was nothing fun in working here, and then she stomped on her poster. Dong-du panicked, hurriedly rebuilt it and ran after the person he liked. Order dumplings each time Hannah was wearing her hand to listen, so she couldn't hear Dong-yes call. Until he stood in front of him and smiled brightly. Didn't you listen to me when I called? Hannah just said yes and went on. Seeing that this brother kept jumping and following him, he called himself Dumplings. Hannah told him not to call him so intimate. But he was demoted. You still like me? Dong-du was not afraid to respond. He still liked it very much. But it wasn't long before Hannah's ex-lover appeared. It makes Dong-du a little curious. Zhong-han wanted to talk to Hannah for a while, but she flatly refused, making him and Dong-du a little silly. So he temporarily greeted Dong-du to help his hometown and left. At this moment, the sign shop called to the crowd. So he immediately squeezed the sign that had made someone come to see her. During the meal, she asked how she was doing, why she was in Seoul for work, but she had to move here. In order not to worry, Dong-du hid the fact that he brawled with his comrades for bribes. Tell me to remember what rice to cook, so it's convenient to ask where the guy who loves his house is. What just told my old district member to take him to work. But I didn't see him contact me at home. After the meal, Dong-du went to his brother's room to review the boxing memories they both had together. He was also a little nostalgic about the aura of that year, but now Dong-yu was just an ordinary patrolman, so the past must have been put away. Dong-du returned to the station and saw that the poster of his favorite person had been dropped. He was sad just because it was torn a little, but he still smiled like a child when he saw the person he liked. If you want to talk about why Dong-yu likes Hannah so much, it must be mentioned before he takes the final exam. It was Hannah who came to give Dong-du a fried label as if to encourage him. And since then, Dong-du still keeps her fried photo as a priceless memento. He was also curious to know why his ex-lover appeared in front of Hannah, why he came. The next day when she went to work, Hannah found that her poster had been refried with gauze tape, and she seemed to know who made it. It's really obvious and lovely to say. Currently, he and his brother Mansik on this side are preparing for a meeting with the new inspection office. But for some reason, the two of them knocked on the door and wanted to play the ball, but they didn't see the inspector inside. Suddenly, two colleagues came over to say hello and excitedly asked for an autograph because they were two fans. Dong-du thought that they were fans of him because of the gold medal, who was afraid to tell his ex-lover that Hannah was standing behind. Make the Mansik laugh because his brother is delusional about himself. The older brother was more enthusiastic to ask questions, but the crowd did not want to cough up a word. Mansik asked, only to find out that in front of him was the new school of his department. Rong Hao said that the director of the department kept it for a long time. Everyone must have waited a long time. Dong-du Mo was jealous of his ex-lover's brother, so he also said to wait for the spring break almost to be broken. Why did this guy appear here? It turned out that he had just accepted the position of head of the department, so he came back to see Hannah. During lunch, she was talking to her brother when Hannah appeared. Dong-du was like a simple child who always smiled at her. Brother Mansik looked out curiously to know. Each crime made him curious to see another ex-lover. Have these two come back or what? Suddenly, a police officer quarreled with Rong Han. Bao-an is a person who only knows how to harm other people's teammates, as the captain's teammates have been transferred to work. As soon as Brother Zhahong walked in, he was immediately dragged into the story. You are the one who made that guy block his way to promotion. Are you satisfied? Someone who only knows how to sell out his teammates to get promoted before. The dragon spirit was still very calm at this time. Tell those who only know how to take bribes, why should they be so reckless? As the captain, he couldn't argue anymore, so he just warned. Be careful of snake bites. After the meal, Hannah inquired a little about what she had just said, and she said that she was fine. But about the fact that he wanted to tell him yesterday was that he had been transferred to the police station. Aren't you curious why you came here? Hannah only cares a little, but she also doesn't want to get involved with her ex. Bao Yong further said that there was no need to inform her because she had nothing to do with the dragon being accepted. She also doesn't want to become a topic of conversation based on relationships and go through the back door. So I hope that in the future don't have anything to do with it anymore because the two are nothing to each other. Currently, Dong-du and his brother Mansik are on duty to guard a road. This brother is so stingy that it's hot but doesn't want to turn on the air conditioner for Dong-du. Afraid of wasting fuel because I don't have much money left. Suddenly the police chief walked by, told Mansik to get in his car and go to the department director. It made the Mansik hurriedly ask what my lunch and dinner were like. It's true that the two of them needed the same, so Dong-du took care of this matter by himself. He waited for a pulse until evening, and there was only one bottle of drinking water. Who would have thought that the air conditioner would break down, making it so hot that I took off all my clothes. Then go out to wash your face to cool down. While washing his face, a sagging car driver stabbed him in the ass. Make him stick his head in the mud. Dong-du quickly regained his spirit, went over and asked the man in the car what kind of standing he was doing, and then reached out with his hand to open the car window. Who made him lock the glass door tightly. I started pedaling the accelerator even though Dong-du warned me and told me that I was a policeman. But after a while he began to be afraid. Shouting made him stop, causing Dong-yu to be thrown a few tens of meters away and then launch away and lose attraction. When he returned, Dong-du immediately met the car robbers. The head of the robbers also criticized this car for not having any deviations, but threw all the things of Dong-yu out, make him go to get his things. I realized that something wasn't right. Dong-du began to walk in the direction where the old car had just rushed into him, and he discovered there was a body that they had thrown away on the bank and died. The chain also quickly received the news and went to the hospital. I only saw the smudged brother sitting with the victim's family. When he left, he asked if it hurt. It doesn't hurt to be hit by a car in the buttocks. He just asked me where my car is. Dong-yu fought against the evasion in that place, go and take it yourself. As he spoke, he quickly twisted his super crooked body. Before he was charged for his debt because he had nothing but 2 marbles. So the next day when I arrived at the office, the brother carried the fox chain to look everywhere but was nowhere to be found. Meanwhile, Dong-du was in the toilet taking pictures of his wounds. Realizing that it was quite serious, he suddenly called. Tell me that my beloved brother has not come home yet. Dong-du tried to call back, but my brother didn't pick up the phone. I suddenly remembered what told me to go to work with my old coach. Dong-du quickly realized that something was wrong, so he went to look for the notice. Meanwhile, Dong-du's former coach is very welcomed by everyone. At a conference as the glory of Korea at the In-sung Hotel. Dong-yu also appeared at this time wearing a suit and walked over, look around for a hunchback trainer. He often asks where he loves. He himself entrusts the work to the boy. The coach laughed and said that he had assigned him a job. But he advanced the money and ran away. Where is it? He must be struggling with medication somewhere. And who is it addicted to? Isn't it this brother? Don't you think you're too fake? He just restrained Dong-ye's younger brother. I just provoked him. Why did he still wear the clothes of the national team and come here to meet me? Where are you left? It must be told about that year, after the last battle to win the gold medal. Then this coach wants to be a big traveler to participate in professional MMA. With the excuse of having money to take care of the latter medicine for my beloved Gong. But Dong-du did not want to. He just wants to take the gold medal and retire and go home with his family. During the interview, Dong-du proudly called his name and gave his brother what he had already done. Suddenly a reporter asked if there were rumors that he would participate in MMA. Was it true? Dong-yu heard that he understood who had released this news. So he also refused to be the coach's name and quickly called. It was announced that Dong-du had used a drug called doping in competition. It was because of the event that year that Dong-du's life fell into a dead end. The coach who said he was proud to win those gold medals. But the drugs that Dong-du used to take were allowed in the competition. This coach just wants to profit more for himself. For Dong-du, those honors are much more important than money, so for the past 2 years, he always tries to be able to sue this coach just because of it. Don't give up just because you're offended. Dong-du still tries to exercise and bring it back just to wait for the moment to shine. To the point of running, to the point of dizziness. I will show everyone what kind of person Dong Du is. So now, he is just trembling with his mind to find out information about his car every time. So much so that when he passed by Hannah he didn't even notice, and when it came to meals he kept muttering. When it came time to go to the toilet to sit down, Dong Du remembered that he had seen that car in the document of the captain of the dike. Meanwhile, the Mansik on this side also found his car. Every component has been mixed by the robbers, and every shell the right number is poorer, even poorer. Traveling on this side when everyone was going to lunch, he went into the 4th floor office of the captain of the dike and looked for documents about the car that hit him. Coincidentally, Mr. Mansik had just returned and asked his brother what he was struggling with. Suddenly, the captain of the dike had just returned from eating, making these two people stunned and sneaking away first. But the captain of the dike saw that he knew that his documents had already been touched. After arriving at the medical room, Dong Du told his brother to go with him to catch the person who caused the accident and then flee. After marking my buttocks, I asked him to look if the grille of that car was exactly the same as the mark on my buttocks. Dong Du excitedly said that if he did this, he would catch a golden rabbit. Because in the list of the golden rabbit, there is information about this car, but there is no buyer's name. I was visiting the victim's family in the case when Dong Du received a call, making him rush away. Meanwhile, the island line reviewed the video recording of the kiss to catch the golden rabbit and discovered. It was as if someone had prepared to set fire in advance and called an ambulance. And the Mansik brother on this side had just gone to the parking lot to look for his motorbike, but he was nowhere to be found. The brother who was busy at this time called and told him to quickly go to the house number 28 with the line. At this time, the island also ran to ask Mr. Mansik about the hunt for the golden rabbit the day before. I asked him if he saw anything strange in that incident because it was like someone deliberately set the fire and called the fire department. So in this police department, there are the people of the golden rabbits. Do you know Lee Jinsu? Mansik said that this name belonged to a man who had just died not long ago. In the case of Dong Du's brother being hit by a car and then running away, it was known that the person was a customs officer. He immediately realized that something was wrong, said that he would find out and contact him later, but he still couldn't help but be angry because his brother Dong Du stole his motorbike. As soon as he arrived at the station, the pawn shop called the Mansik, who informed him that the Silver Rabbit team was moving in the area and knew the exact location of that place. That was the place where Dong Yu had just reminded him earlier. The number 28 was written in the line. In him, the pawn was not medium while at Hannah's house. She is currently the one who is holding the customs documents of Lee Jinsu in the accident. She was quickly deceived by the people of the Golden Rabbits who came to her hometown just to find the pile of papers. Carrying the papers upstairs, Hannah decided to pull out her hot item that she hadn't used for a long time, reload each bullet and put on an earmuff. As a commune keeper who has not held a gun for a long time, these guys have arrived. She fired a few shots to threaten the robbers so that they would be afraid and run as if they were not. The robbers immediately divided without making a Hannah, and then divided the pile of customs papers she was holding. Each crime is not a medium type, and if you shoot without fear, you shoot for real. Handle each guy quickly and neatly because she is the commune that won the gold medal on the day of the shooting, and the ex-lover of the line of Han. When he was on his way to investigate Lee Jinsu, he was hit by the Golden Rabbits juniors. These juniors seemed to know the identity of the stone line before. His tattoo had the exact shape of a snake that was exactly the same as the words of Captain Wu who had warned him. Be careful to be bitten by a snake, but if you don't fight back because you don't have a weapon, you have to run away first. Coincidentally, Jihong's brother was also navigating this area. Seeing the brawl, he also ran out to sea when he found a red car or vandalizing people in this river printing area. He quickly increased, pedaled, and rushed straight towards Jihong, not knowing that he was a professional disc pellet athlete. He took the manhole cover and turned it around, compressing it directly into that red car, making it bounce backwards, which couldn't help but be cooler. And the younger brother Jonghan on this side was running with the broom of the janitor on the side of the road. When he came to the river, he immediately broke it and used it as a weapon for himself. This group touched someone who didn't touch it, but bumped into the house that won the silver medal of the 10 swords set. Kim Jong-han, nicknamed the Talented Swordsman, the forlorn pillow in the spirit army has appeared, and they all fly and swim here. 5 guys for me is a bit few. Meanwhile, Mansik also went to Captain De Jong to tell him that he had found the golden rabbits. The captain didn't care, but told Mansik to fight a match with him first before listening to him explain his work. Due to the urgency of the situation as well as being an 80-weight wrestler, Mansik also quickly defeated the name of this Captain De Jong and began to talk about the Golden Rabbit case. In the end, it is our male protagonist. Dong Du has found the marriage of the Golden Rabbits. Fortunately, the rabbits from gold to silver are all gathered here. It takes a lot of effort to gather each guy together. Dong Du asked if the Golden Rabbit was the guy who trafficked the car in this photo, but he didn't answer. That's how he chewed his teeth, but when he was like that, he was itching for a long time. So these guys like to play with their teeth. Okay, this tooth in my eyes is very itchy. Seeing it again, it's all spit out. The two golden and silver rabbits shook their heads when they heard this. So Dongyu immediately asked us if you know why I am called Jun Dongyu? Looking up at the sky with a little shame, the leaves flying in the wind in my heart are also sad. This is what my mother told me, but it seems that life does not give my name to be peaceful. It was you who provoked the righteous punch of this Eastern traveler. So one by one, the guys who rushed up began to be impregnated with foe for a battle. No matter how many people there are some guys with knives, but none of them are the opponents of Dongyu. Old memories sent back. With a heart that was still boiling with enthusiasm, none of these bastards could do anything in the crowd. A champion boxer in South Korea's boxing league. After dealing with all the animals, the police also came to find the Golden Rabbits. The Mansik brothers skimmed the sea and ran over, but he was mistaken for the enemy army by the crowd, punched and knocked unconscious on the spot. That's it, when you get out of the car, don't forget to pose coolly. Asked by the policeman's brother why he was able to kill so many people. And the Mansik brother was punched once, and now he was punched again. He swore to break the thumb of Dong Du. It is true that the police association gathers all talents in the top one of the country. After taking a shower, Dong Du was also interviewed because he single-handedly broke up the Golden Rabbit gang. But in this case, Mr. Mansik still felt strange and called him aside. As Dong Du said, this consecutive case is not just a car crash and then a simple escape. The witness testified that the smuggling of the Golden Rabbit died in the car crash and then fled. So much so that the robbers attacked the police with knives without taking anything, just mixed each document and ran away. Mr. Mansik wondered what the document was. After returning, Dong Du was about to go home, but he was threatened by the neighbors and the police in the battle area, thinking that he was an idiot. Dong Du found the situation a little difficult, so he had to greet the person he liked and return. Coincidentally, he met his beloved brother Gong again, who had been missing for a few days, and also returned. When he got home, he even pulled out the machine he bought for his beloved Gong and asked him if he liked it, and then sat down to eat melon with his aunt while he was sleeping. Dong Du also left his savings book for his aunt, then returned to the room to ask his brother what he had done for his former district member. But the brother didn't answer, telling him to leave me alone, but just be a good child. Suddenly, there was a phone call to make my beloved leave the house, saying that my brother had nothing to do. As for the director, who is now as majestic as a toad, he began to appear after the arrest of the yellow-toothed rabbits just now, taking the opportunity to regain the reputation slandered by the journalists. And the team of athletes, after making a goal, also had their own office, including Dong Du, Hannah, and the Pink Goat brother. Finally, there are Mansik and Hongzhen, but Hongzhen hasn't come here right away because he has his own business. After a while, Dong Du and his brother Mansik began to interview the name of the Golden Rabbit. The car that hit Dong Du's buttocks was sold to whom, but this Golden Rabbit had 2 front teeth removed, so his statement was not very clear. Dong Du found that the lake in his hand was a little familiar. It was the name that hit his buttocks. He immediately asked where he got this watch from, and 2 other policemen came in and took this Golden Rabbit away, saying that the interview time was over. Mansik and Dong Du quickly ran back to the office when they received the news. The director of the department had ordered Dong Du's task force to do another important thing. The investigation of these Golden Rabbits should be left to others. It turns out that the other important thing he said was to go to his filming session to seal the tarpaulin with the media, increase her reputation, especially Hannah is very good at using guns, and this department director who criticized her skills wants her to show off in front of everyone. So in order to let go of the newcomer who had not been in office for a long time, she had to make a cat for the director. She aimed directly at the director and gave him a shot, shocking everyone because they didn't think she did it. Dong Du's team couldn't help but be happy because they hated this name for a long time. But because of this, the director of the department told the director of the department to stay away from Hannah tomorrow, but such a line of stones would only make public opinion worse, so there was only another way for the director of the department to use another way to seal it. Boasting that his bulletproof vest was as good as grapes, it was a prearranged performance and he used his own body as an example for everyone. It is true that he is a king, a feudal lord, but Hannah still wanted to quit her job, and in the evening she followed the river. Although she went to dinner, Hannah did not respond. He asked why she quit her job, and Hannah said that the two had nothing to do with each other. Don't like me, not for Dong-du, how can affection be said to be crushed? Hannah told me that I couldn't like him and left. The neighbor was also present the day before. The guy came there yesterday, but without chasing him, Dong-du also left on his own. The next day, while the group was being interviewed by reporters, Mansik received a call telling them that they had to chase the remaining criminals in an abandoned house. When he arrived, he saw the head of the investigation department here, and he didn't forget to be a policeman. He was immediately scolded by the Mansik. Why was he rude to the person who called him to show his talent? Later, everyone also entered the apartment complex. Together they clearly divided the work and began to separate. Each of the sins of Brother Mansik, who had not been gone for a long time, was lying on the floor with a sigh of relief. Dong-du anxiously approached to see the situation. It turned out that his brother was punched and broke his nose in revenge. But this suddenly made the people hiding here realize. Do you think that Dong-du is a demon in the middle of the day? Looking out, I saw that Mansik wanted to turn around tomorrow and saw everyone hugging and biting, making everyone panic. Mansik quickly chased after the soldiers, but they crossed the bridge to draw a plank and challenged. Unexpectedly, Hongzhan ran after and jumped straight to the side of these traffickers, looking very cool except for the Mansik brother. Zhonghan was just running towards the robber when he was stabbed by him, making him obsessed with the sword fight he lost that year. Fortunately, the Mansik brother stopped Dong-hun for a blow, so he didn't have any problems. Fortunately, Dong-du promptly took him to the hospital, otherwise Mansik would have gone to the ghost house. The doctor told me that I should feel better than the brother next to me because if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have been saved. It touched the brother and cried at an abandoned warehouse at this time. Dong-ye's younger brother was being tortured by a police officer just because he didn't do what he said, which was to hit people with a car. Just because he didn't comply, he was tortured by him to the point that his body was full of wounds, and he looked extremely guilty. Meanwhile, the brother at home is filial to girls. For nearly a month, in order to please her difficult, he has been constantly changing light bulbs around the neighborhood near Hannah's house. Being the master of the city, you also have to respect and know this busy uncle. All the lights here are repaired by Dong-yu. The next day, as soon as he arrived at the office, a police officer came to inform Dong-ye's group that the person who hit him in the buttocks had come to surrender himself. He hurriedly ran out to take a look, but he didn't expect it to be his younger brother. Gong loves Dong-du and tells Dong-du not to tell his mother anything, but he can take care of everything. But Dong-du couldn't ignore this case when he saw his brother full of injuries. He couldn't help but feel sorry and asked if that coach did it. The beloved Gong asked him not to get involved in this. Ignoring the crowd, he got on the car to go to the station, so he immediately went to see the coach. I asked him why he was so bad with his love Gong, but this guy didn't know what Dong-yu was saying. He was also the one who had to deal with the case of the love Gong. Because he was so angry, Dong-yu punched him without thinking, but he didn't let it go and punched back. Fortunately, everyone outside prevented him in time, otherwise Dong-du would have made a mistake. Every crime he was guilty of was also punched in a rather painful blow. I don't have to worry about it. Dong-du came back and told me that my brother had already gone to Seoul, so don't worry. He went to work for a few days and then came home at Lee Jinse's funeral. At this time, Dong-du was also there to offer condolences with the victim's family. Suddenly, he remembered that there was an important detail fleeting when he came here. So Dong-du immediately began to search around to find the person who wore the watch as in his memory. He ran back and asked the secretary if anyone had been here. I heard that they were all colleagues at the customs, so Dong-yu always held the notebook. Go directly to the customs office and investigate each person. He began to go everywhere and try to see the figure of each person as in his memory, but he couldn't find anyone. Department after department suddenly crowded in front of a man who held his hand uninvited. Is it right to make eyebrows? Who crashed the car into my buttocks? Caught you, bastard. I can't forget the guy I just looked at once because he only remembered me very well. After going to the name that I suspected was the perpetrator of the murder case, he hit me in the buttocks and ran away. Dong-du immediately showed his buttocks to him and said that if you don't do this, who will do it? If you look closely, the security guard here thinks that Dong-yu is a pervert. Lean dragged him out, but Dong-du kept telling him not to forget my name. Because of this, the Western police station called Mr. Mansik back. It helplessly made the brother ask where he was dropping his pants like that. This guy. Come here, the perverted brother. Dong-yu still insisted that these streaks were the proof. although I kept saying that the name of the customs officer I found was the culprit. Brother Mansik urged him to at least have evidence before he could accuse people. While they were arguing, Dong Dong came to ask Mr. Mansik about the case that he had given him a blow last time. See if you're okay now. The senior head of the department was concerned, and the old man said it was okay. But he kept holding his stomach like that and it was very heavy. That's it, there is still the warmth to sit in the missing place in this athlete's office. Where you go out and join my team. That's why I asked Sergeant Kim what he wanted to eat. The brother sat on the side and saw that his brother looked quite discriminatory. Bao couldn't put this name in the team but had to ask everyone's opinion first. The pink goat behind him immediately agreed without hesitation. But Dong Du used the reason that this guy was afraid of delivering real guns. How could he do anything? So Dong Hao opened an invitation to solo skill handicap right here. Dong Du confidently said that even if I punched around me, I could dodge immediately. But as soon as he finished speaking, he was punched by the soul in a painful shot. It made everyone outside laugh. Mr. Mansik took the opportunity to call everyone outside to bet to see if anyone would win. Everyone thought that Dong Du would win because if he punched with his bare hands, he would have won the championship. It was indeed a soul that was constantly punched by him and laughed happily. But he didn't know that his soul was a national-level athlete in high school. I went to Mr. Mansik and told Dong Du to eat more. His muscles are weak like this, who can punch him? Mansik wondered if his loss of attention was due to an accident that year. The punches directly in the face haunted the crowd for fear that it would make the opponent faint immediately, after the meal. Mansik advised her to rethink not being a police officer anymore. But she was determined to live and work for freedom, not controlled by anyone. Mr. Zi Hong was also here to say goodbye to Hannah. By the way, I told my brother that he was very tired. Come and encourage him because he is a very narcissistic person. Every age when she arrives because she hears the sad news of the crowd. It was a little strange because Mansik and Dong Du were struggling with each other after drinking a few cups of wine. It was boring to look at. The next day, while eating together, Dong Du asked Mr. Mansik how the car hit his buttocks and ran away. But he just told you not to do meaningless work anymore. While eating, the person believed to be the suspect in that car crash also appeared on the bulletin board. It was Dong Du's cousin. When he returned to the restaurant, he quickly apologized for trying to find out more carefully before speaking. But there is not much hope for this child. Just blame myself for not raising this child well. However, I am still sure that love is not so much that I have to kill people. Dong Du still couldn't ignore looking for clues about the fatal car crash and then ran away. He was determined to go online to find information about that case, trying to find clues so that he can free his brother from prison. And the captain of the Barbarian because he saw that Dong Du's words also made sense. He asked his soul mate to meet the prosecutor trying to ask about this case. Dong Soul is also planning to meet with the prosecution. But it seems that the two are a pair of brothers who do not have much harmony or respect for each other. When he stood in front of his brother to ask for an interview, this brother only knows how to slander his soul as a weak person. Things like education or talent are one step inferior to him. Come back and do it under my father's testimony. But the forest is here too. Dong Hao also didn't want to stay here to be despised by his brother. The brother was a little curious about what the crowd was trying to investigate, so he also let his followers try. And Dong Du came to see his beloved brother, advising him to be honest and tell the police, just say one sentence and I don't do it. He'll do everything I can to save you from here. But Gong Ai seemed to have something of his own to go to the warden. Asked when I could see my lawyer, in the afternoon when I was exploring the scrap yards. He brought a sick to appear and asked if he was going to return the car tomorrow night. I don't know how many places I've been dragging loosely. Already poor, the younger brother took the car to find all the scrap yards. Just as he was about to start the engine and leave, Dong Du wanted to wait a little longer to see what was inside the junkyard. At this moment, the soul called to tell him to bring the sick. His expression showed that there was some information that was quite tense. At the prison at this time, Dong Du's cousin committed suicide, making Dong Du feel extremely depressed. Dong Hao suspected that his brother was likely to be involved in this case. The news of the suicide gong was quickly put on television. Once a promising young boxer, but now he passed away at a relatively early age. After he brought the sick to bring the leftovers of his beloved gong back to Dongyu, it was the watch in his pocket that made him mad because his brother had never used a watch at that time. That's the exact same kind of killers. Dong-du was mad and carried the mood of wanting to eat the name of the living button to meet the original Du. He pressed the watch straight towards him and grabbed him. "Don't you know who the love cup is?" Seeing that this itchy-eyed guy kept proving innocent, Dong-du immediately punched him to the ground. Then came the angry punches, as if he wanted to take revenge on his brother. As a result, he was also quickly interrogated for assaulting others. And Hannah, after learning that Dong-ye's watch belonged to someone else, she went home and opened the things her father had left behind, decided to look for clues about his father's case that year. She took the watch left by her father to ask the school police. He also didn't know much about Hannah's father's case, so he asked her to go to the pawn shop he used to try. When I went to the pawn shop to ask, Hannah also learned that there were only 12 watches of this type on the market. At that time, there were a few that were launched from a smuggler known as Obongchan. He made a lot of money by trading US dollars. Every sin of that person is also dead. Suddenly, she noticed a pile of boxing medals, and the shopkeeper said that it was from a guy with a worse face than me who came to hold her. After Dong-ye's younger brother died, none of his people wanted him to come here anymore for fear that he would blame him. I also advised him to take the weight less in his heart and live comfortably. But how could Dong-yu ignore the death related to his relatives? He only knows how to hug the toys he gave to his brother and remember his beloved Gong. Meanwhile, at the base of the name Min Du-dong, the prison guard who murdered Gong Ai is being punished for his carelessness. Because of his negligence, he had to endure the punishment of the traveler. After one useless person dies, another person in the police station will be replaced and take over the place of the predecessor. Du-dong handed over the task to another police officer to work as an insider at the Yensung police headquarters. It was crowded after returning to the dormitory. He remembered the accident with his brother that year and felt regret. I only know how to apologize for being too strong for him that year in the 2018 championship. The next day, Hannah woke up at home when she heard that some people with land outside were chattering. This area of her house is a golden land that is about to be made into a high-rise middle-class residence. I was in a daze with these land-based names when the man called to Hannah. It turned out that it was my mother because she was being advertised by the FB company, so she just came here to advertise a little. She constantly told her daughter about the loans, but she didn't care and told her mother not to come again in the future. Because that year when Hannah went to the shooting competition, it was her mother's words that made her unable to focus on the contest and lose focus on the important moment, causing her to be afraid of dying too much. She threw away her beloved hair in front of her mother, who was calling for advertising brands. She let the island walk on the road, wanting to cover all her ears. Fortunately, Dong-du ran over and hugged her in his arms. It helps Hannah to be safe without fear of anything else, just like he used to do with the person he liked that year. Dong-du sat down with Hannah again, asking if he still felt pain because of that year. Why did he still achieve so many gold medals? I'm struggling to live and die, but I can have two. I'm really a genius. Hannah only said that Dong-du was an idiot, holding the badge that Dong-du had taken to the pawn shop and telling him to be strong. Go catch the bastard who caused the death of his brother. The next day when he arrived at the police station at this time, he suddenly applied to join the special task force of Mr. Mansik's athletes. Then, this team is more like a special task force. However, Dong-du still has prejudice against this friend because he is Hannah-sik's lover. It is true that the two of them are no different from children. After seeing the seaweed, Dong-du didn't even forget to hold his golden badge and make love eyes with Hannah as if telling him to go to work. The first is that he visited someone's house first. After that, he decided to go to the customs supervision department but was also stopped by the police because he caused a brawl. When these two people were caught off guard, he went to find a street to talk. As the head of the customs department, he asked Tang Rong to take care of this friend by himself first. Every time he saw this obnoxious face, Dong-yu seemed to be mad and just wanted to punch him. He took the pile of documents he had collected and put them on the street table, but the street didn't pay attention and told him not to see each other again. Dong-du turned around and asked you if you knew what self-love was, and stopped looking at the sky without a hint of shame. My heart is also sad, shameful to go straight to the misery if you are a human being. After speaking, he punched the tempered glass of the customs office, and began to tell me that I am the champion of Asia. National boxing gold medal, whoever stands in my ring will be knocked out. Each cool crime has not been long ago, when he returned to the task force. Dong-du immediately received a repair invoice from the customs office with a repair cost of up to 33 million won. It was poor, but now it is really bragging about harming this body. And the wanderer was reprimanded by the head of the department because of this, and constantly pointed at his face. Just by looking at his expression, he knew that this wanderer didn't like to be pointed at his face like this, but he was still patient. The captain of the flight to Libya this time should let me go because something happened. Hearing that, the head of the department laughed loudly and said that the master was really cute. Come to lunch. Dong Yu at this time seemed to want to break the crowd and sat in the place where he had been doing more. Ask Mr. Mansik if he has found any clues about the incident in Chinatown last time. I just said that when I went to arrest criminals that day, I only remembered the license plates of the Chinese. He has also asked the traffic management team to look up the route and vehicle information. While we were talking, the name of the captain who had been denounced by all his comrades for corruption also passed by. Now you have switched to the Mansik team? It makes Mr. Mansik call out the right guys, but his personality is no different from that of a child. After speaking, he immediately divided the team to investigate those people on the Chinese side. Pink goats with eunuchs are a pair, and Hannah and the dragon are a couple. Dong Yu did not agree immediately. When he got out of the car, he quickly stole Hannah's position. He said he wanted to follow Sergeant Kim so he could learn more. Even though Hannah chased him down, he turned around and made fun of the dragon. The dragon's soul felt horrible and told him not to do cute things anymore. When the team went to investigate the Chinese names. Wherever each sin goes, it is sung there. At the end of the morning, Dong Dust group with the seaweed couldn't find any clues, so they had to go back to rest. But because he had an appointment, he chased Dong Du off the car immediately. Part of it is also because of each other's rivalry. Mr. Mansik came in the evening to investigate information about the car of the Chinese people. He went to the pawn shop owner and did not forget to bring a little drink to bribe. When I asked, I found out that the current big man in the smuggling world is the car. But it seems that others have entered his business. Mansik asked the shopkeeper and he said he didn't know. I didn't know where to go, so I went by myself and asked the name of that car. Mansik asked the shopkeeper if he saw the watch and didn't recognize it. Bao said that the other day an ugly girl also came here to ask about this watch. Meanwhile, Hannah asks the sheriff about her father's case that year. She also knew that her father had investigated a case about the Russian mafia. He handed the personnel file to Hannah, telling her father that he had been killed by a gunshot. The investigation into the mafia that year also ended her father's unsolved case. Zhong Hao followed the police's clue about the Chinese highway car to a certain road. He discovered that there was a suspicious person who was running after him and couldn't catch up, only to discover that there were fragments of melon seeds and cigarette butts scattered around the place where he had just parked, as if he was deliberately waiting for Zhong's soul here. The next day, when he regathered the office, Mang Sik received a notice about the clue that the people who had accused the Dong Yu brother were not here, calling forever, but he didn't teach. Only when he brought the Sik to mention the name Min Zhuzhong did he get up immediately. The two followed the light car to the Eagle Hair Salon. What kind of sin did his junior's head call him so much that he lost a few new strands of hair, which made him extremely heartbroken? Singing and screaming and crying, he turned around and noticed that there was an acquaintance here. Mang Sik said that he had something to ask, so he immediately ran away. So in the rain of bubbles all over the street, he was like a princess being chased by two bubble princes. It wasn't until a stretch of the road that the Sik and the crowd were able to keep him and say, "Ask one question, do you have to run for your life like a criminal like that?" Dong Du asked if you were selling cars to the Golden Rabbits, and he seemed to be innocent. I explained it and I don't know anything. So the two of them touched this guy's bald head. Make sure that the gold that this guy earns must be on his head. When he was about to pull out his hair, he refused to reveal it. That person is nicknamed a monkey. At the customs department, there is a name that covers this guy. My goods were inspected and his goods were not. Just passed the customs inspection. And that person involved is Min Zhurong. The sales line of those cars is in Libya and Russia. So Dong Du advised this guy to eat a lot of eggs and especially egg yolks which help grow hair. Arriving at the investigation team, the whole Silver Intermarketing team threw a message. It makes Dong Yu wonder, why don't you just say it? The brother with a chain cursed this guy who said it was a secret investigation. I thought my brother was very smart, because in order to ask for advocacy, he immediately thought of the chief. Each crime was stoned and lame. It was a long time before he let people go. So in order to mobilize himself, he brought the chain back to call the name of the car dealer to ask what kind of bait was to lure those overturned car merchants. Is my goods okay? Whoever lights the car immediately criticizes this car. At least it must be a good car, but this car is not coveted by any ghost. Mr. D also brought an announcement at this time. The upcoming line of Minju will have an exit to Libya. The car light guy said that if you want to pull out, use a good car. The whole group immediately looked at the private car of the general director of the department. Why not? Because justice sometimes has to borrow temporarily and then return it. So the whole group immediately calculated that if they stole the car, they would go to prison for a few years. Perfect plan to run out of dipping sauce. So I came when the security guard didn't notice. Mang Tong pretended to be sick and successfully took the car of the director of the department. After gathering, the car light said that the monkey didn't believe anyone. Transactions are not always face-to-face. The only way is to park the car at the designated location and wait for them to come and pick it up. Kwang said that if he knew the location, he would contact me and drive away. So while waiting for the ambush, Dongyu and the Soul Stream also went to buy some snacks. The crowded friend immediately stepped in to pay in advance as if he had calculated something. As a result, when he went out, the Soul Line only saw Mr. D Hong picking him up. As for the crowded travelers, it is as happy as buying them because they can drive the people they like to go. Arrived at the parking lot and waited for an ambush. At this time, there were two juniors driving the Coupe 50C that was coming. Starting to remove the car positioner, many travelers realized that this person was quite familiar. I was going to take a picture but accidentally honked the car horn, causing these monkeys to find their bodies. Hannah had no choice but to press on the crowd. Pretending to be in love helped the two get rid of their suspicions. In this scene, the crowd must be happy at night and don't want to take a shower. The director is afraid that he will lose his car. Dancing like a Chinese mother and screaming in pain has only been a day. After arriving at the base of the monkeys, people began to put on their armor and prepared to break into the base. Although it was a little crowded, 5 people also boldly entered to catch the monkeys. Whoever was shy, another group of policemen also appeared. It turned out to be the name of the captain of the OD line because he wanted to rob the merit because Dongdu shouted in the morning, causing the whole group to be exposed. Fortunately, the police also have more existing water personnel to break the balance. The two sides rushed in and punched in pain. The brother with monkey strength was a little ruined, but he was killed, and of course any of those guys were defeated by him. Song Han had just jumped into the chief's car when he was stopped by his comrades. Tell them not to jump into the car. After speaking, the brother had the strength to hit a guy's head into the car and then burst out. It is true that he is afraid of the enemy, not afraid of the destruction of his car. After a while, the group also discovered the monkey's name. The monkey and his juniors began to play the game of fighting the enemy. Threw a wrench at the police, but the police did not give in. He also picked up a pile of wrenches and threw them back at the monkey's juniors. The monkey saw that the situation was not good and ran away. But unexpectedly, the red goat in front of him blocked the road. Behind him was Hannah holding a pitiful gun and slashing them one by one. The monkey was so scared that he swung his rope like a clenched tooth and tried to run away. Come on, he got into Mr. Mansik and took the car of the director of the department and fled. In order to stop this guy, she used the monkey's car to smash the department director's car. Now it's all over. Song Han ran after the monkey when he discovered that he had been stabbed to death by another stranger. He chased with all his might, but he couldn't fight back against the vitality of this strange name. He was beaten and recused to the ground and then fled with his accomplices. The next day, the police also quickly arrived at the monkey's garage. Mansik was still holding the sign, but he was worried that he had now lost his clue about the monkeys. When the director of the department appeared, now his concern was that the car was taken away by the whole group. The director of the department saw that the car he had only bought one day turned out to be so ruined. Lean held the license plate and buried a few for Mansik. The younger brothers left as if they had nothing to do with this case. Still alive and close to the forensic team. Seeing that they discovered that the melon peel was the same as the one I had watched the previous day. The director of the department was heartbroken earlier because his private car was stolen. But in front of the press, he began to say that he was proud of his personal sacrifice. So the monkeys juniors were also quickly chained to the station for smuggling cars. Fellow travelers are sure that the name of the traveler is also looking at this bulletin board. Not to mention many of these crimes, the police also investigated apricots and gems. However, it is believed that this case is related to the Russian mafia. It is no longer just smuggling but a crime at a higher level. At this time, Hannah gave the document that the victim who was stabbed to death before was the spirit of nutrition. the person who once investigated the statistics of the goods of the nomad. And as a result, due to the discovery of something shady, he was killed. On this side, the head of the department of the gangster told the police to make a move soon. They called to ask about your business trip. When I asked, I found out that it was the people of the travelers. When the traveler heard this, he asked the head of the department to tell him to send me to Libya. It is not voluntary so that the police are less suspicious. Seeing this guy was like ordering me. The head of the department began to go to class to teach you a lesson. I didn't think that he would be an owl again, but he broke his finger to point at his game. The current line of travel treasures I am very serious about, but the head of the department like this is not okay. He threatened the head of the department if he said anything miscellaneous. After just going out, Du Lien made a phone call. Tell them to contact the Philippines and Russia immediately, the plan has changed. Meanwhile, Mr. Mansik's investigation team also arrived at the trading area of goods transported to Russia. The group began to divide up and search, when Mansik received a call informing him, the nomad will leave today at 7 p.m. So the fellow travelers and the spirit stream immediately went to the customs station and stopped him. However, Du Luong was not afraid and told his fellow travelers, if they could stop me with the law, just try. With the whole gong, I love to die not because of me, but because of you. He whispered softly, if Dong you hadn't come in, maybe that brother would still be alive now. The two of them decided to chase the name of the wanderer with force, but he changed direction to the hill here and went to the airport. Meanwhile, in the storage area, Mr. Mansik also found the car that hit the buttocks of his comrades. He immediately called the goat for the person to report to the police, and I and Hannah will go to find this wanderer. Dong Yu looked at it for a while and also discovered the location of the river. Bao Hung issued a wanted warrant and I flew over the rooftops to chase the name there. Mansik and Hannah quickly took the children across the street so that they could quickly pass by and stop the flow. When Hannah was standing in the middle of the road trying to stop the wanderer, Dong Yu quickly took a shirt and wrapped it in his hand, flew up like a butterfly and hit the yacht's car. If you touch someone you like, you're not done. Even though he was thrown a few meters away, he suddenly had to admit that he was crazy. He still had the strength to wake up from the last blow, go straight to the name of the traveler and tell you that you can't escape, son. Then it was lying down and cracking. The person suspected of being involved in the murder at customs has also been rearrested. Zhong Hao began to take the testimony of the gangster. In connection with the murder during the interrogation, this nomad still refused to reveal anything like that, buying time waiting for someone to come to the rescue. Suddenly, the prosecution's brother appeared to surprise everyone. He was taken away in the face of the wrath of the companion baby. A new inspector reported to the chain-bearer that the customs department has left this case to the Control Institute from now on, so the whole group could only helplessly watch their criminals leave. Zhong kissed in front of his brother and was asked, I just did what my superiors said. Do you think I want to do it? Hannah was curious about the watch the traveler was wearing. She asked him where this thing came from. Those who have been murdered and arrested in the relevant case of this nomad wear this watch. The traveler said that they must have the same interests. Seeing that he was about to go forward to start a conversation, Zhong Hao fought back. When everyone was caught off guard, the fellow brother was about to rush upstairs to give him a fight. Fortunately, he was stopped by a chain, but he was still more aggressive than his sister Linda. I definitely have to put you in the doorway. If you can hide, just hide. While scolding the name he hated, Dong Du suddenly seemed to lose consciousness and began to split his nose. In front of him, only the face of the obnoxious name appeared dimly. His mother didn't want to give him a punch for every sin of weak thinking. And the squirrel brother was curious. Asked who was the guy who was asked to be released. Students under the hood. Or juniors. Or acquaintances. This guy refused to testify at all. Only used wet paper to wipe the remaining blood of the traveler on his sleeve. As for the comrades who went to the hospital, they were unexpectedly injured by the doctor. The brother with the chain called him very worthy of life because he didn't listen to him and then went to cause trouble. It's best to sew the mosquito net again, but my uncle talks too much. Everyone only knows how to tell Hannah to stay in the field. Because she coughed once, he was as good as that. When everyone arrived at the station, they received news from Mr. Hong Zi. The controller has brought all the documents related to the case of the tourist. Then the whole car was snatched away like that, wanting to increase the evidence. From the Tet disaster of Li Jinsu to the case of the golden rabbit and monkey, they were all taken away. Making him wonder, He must also be curious about the core of this wandering bastard. Meanwhile, at the hospital taking care of Dong-du, Hannah looked at her fried label and gave it to Dong-du and remembered. That year, after the national championship shooting competition, it was crowded like a child looking at her photo and laughing. But I don't know what scandal made everyone start anti-fan Hannah. Picking up all the dumplings that she advertised to go to work in the crowd. Picking them up one by one, she was discovered. It's true that Hannah doesn't know where to put it. That's why I even bulldozed Hannah at that time. Tell these packages to be destroyed by me. That's it, it's still behind Hannah's back to confess her love. Do you like me so much? Hannah also liked it at that time. So much so that when they heard the news, Dong-du was sad because of the defeat in the elimination match. She brought her gold badge fried label and gave it to Dong-du. Encourage him to escape from the notoriety of failed matches. Suddenly, Dong-du came back and snatched the phone. If he didn't let Hannah take his fried picture, he accidentally pressed her down on the bed just like in the script. The two of them kissed until the nurse arrived. Although she was a little shy, she felt like she liked it. As soon as he went out, the seaweed also came to meet Hannah. Although she went to coffee to talk about Hannah being watched by the Wanderer, Hannah didn't care much about this. I only know that the two have broken up, so I hope to travel a little. Not to mention the fact that she was targeted, the better she felt. Because she will be a matchmaker. Meanwhile, on the side of the Control Institute, the Wanderer was quickly released. Going in and out like that is my home. After reading the information, he learned that this guy was only administratively punished because what he did was considered a minor mistake. The man was sure that there was someone behind his back, according to the investigation. This Wanderer is from In-sung. The family died in an accident when they were young and were all adopted by their uncle. There are no other relatives or friends around. The property is only a rented house with a car. But people don't know about this Wanderer's mansion full of supercars piled up. He chose the most expensive car, and began to drive like a flight on the way to a car junkyard. Call to stabilize your partner. Meanwhile, at Dong-du Hospital, he was being checked by a doctor when he found out on the message board. A supercar last night hit the road, causing other residents to be affected. Hannah realizes that it is one of the lost cars when she is upset. Because of this, the crowd appeared early, and went straight to the place where the Wanderer began to question. Making a legal bottle without being fired is really worth asking. Not to mention that you have to eat well to make a big deal, right? Dong-yu just wanted to let him know that once he was brought to the ring. Only when you win or lose. However, because the doctor told me to eat well. Dong-du was tired of eating eggs, so he rewarded himself with a barbecue meal at home. Coincidentally, the Mansik brother had just stopped by when he saw his brother eating pieces. So he sat down to eat with him, and recognized that this meat is indeed the most delicious in the armpits. Just like that, the pink goat's vegetables flew clean. In order not to be detected, the Mansik brother sprayed deodorant in the room. Now it seems less exposed. And Hannah at this time also accompanied the patient with a large number of hands. Seeing that there were only 2 people traveling in large numbers, it made the cat unable to pick up food. I was gonna let Hannah give it to me, but was it that easy? She recalled that she was being watched by Tenzuzong. Because he was suspected of having read the customs documents, Lee Jinsu was too stubborn to think of statistics. So Hannah went directly to Tenzuzong and handed him the document. That tells him to do whatever he wants. Meanwhile, at the police station, the 2 brothers were arguing about Hannah being monitored. Zhong Hao asked only to find out that she had just returned from Tenzuzong's place. She went looking for him because she had found some remarkable points related to that Tenzuzong. Make the friend who travels on the side praise non-stop. Distribute rice directly to the whole room. Tenzuzong on this side also received a notice of the destroyed customs warehouse. The silver rabbit was also dealt with by the gang leader because he couldn't do his job. From the Philippines and Russia, new bosses began to appear. It is also known that there is a new apricot trade in this area called candy. That is, candy. As long as you follow this line of candy trading, you can definitely trace the clues of the people behind Zuzong. The producer of this candy is also known as Mague. He is a 1m8 tall man. Nationality, age or name are unknown. No one had ever seen his face before. But people didn't know that this person was a girl from the Philippines. It was only because there was a guy in Korea who made low-quality fake candy that she was there to deal with him. The first is to let him try the candy I brought and then give him a dose of medicine. But thinking about it, this guy abused women and hated her. So he was directly killed. To wipe out this area, Ms. Trung produced candy and started pumping gasoline. She looked outside and waited for her teammates to arrive, but she didn't expect that the police had caught her whereabouts. So he just finished preparing the bomb to leave for the police. She was about to leave when she was blocked by a group of windless soldiers offering glasses. It was as if he wanted to liquidate the fall. Although he was small, a guy was also poked by Mrs. Trung for a shot. I didn't know that the robber was present to deal with this name. And Mrs. Trung, who sells candy, pretends to be injured and weak to be rescued by the crowd. The phone was in the oven because the waves exploded. The river discovered that someone deliberately set the fire, so it called everyone to run away. Dong-yu had already flown out the door to save this stranger. Try to keep this strange girl as much as possible. The candy merchant saw the expression on Dong-du's face trying for her. She seemed to have fallen in love with Dong-du. Trin at that time, Russia's smuggler Leo was also punishing those who betrayed his brothers. The bastards were mercilessly dealt with by him. Suddenly, a child stood up and shot a crossbow at the climber. But he was not angry. Just tell the child not to hold it, and then regret it like me. After speaking, he let the child leave. And Ms. Trung, who smuggled to the police station, looked extremely weak. He began to testify about a 9-meter-tall man peeling his neck. Then she started pretending to cry. Dong-du remembered the testimony, and there was no doubt about it. Meanwhile, Hannah came to deliver things for Mrs. Trung. Seeing that she was not killed much, she was also a little suspicious. The brother believed that this woman was the only living witness. It was necessary to protect it strictly, so it was assigned to Dong-du and Hannah together in the school. Suddenly becoming a prisoner in someone else's house made her feel uncomfortable. And many travelers have the opportunity to be alone with the person they like. He drank coffee while flattering Hannah without a word. After that, I started to cook dinner for the two of them. The stewed kimchi of the national team that many tourists like. Every sin in the meal. The candy merchant felt a little jealous because everything Dong-du did for Hannah first. In order to break up these two people, she also began to talk and ask Dong-yu. I didn't say the right place to scratch, so Dong-du suddenly turned on the mode of talking a lot. It was as if she was starting to get jealous that night when she slept. Hannah saw the crowd wandering around and remembered the doctor's words. He said that after the brain injury, Dong-du may have trouble sleeping. Therefore, she planned to take care of Dong-yu so that he could sleep better. Coincidentally, the candy merchant also saw this scene. Recognition is also warm. The next morning, I just woke up and went to take a shower. Hannah thought that Dong-yu had been unable to see any movement, so she went in and took a look. It turned out that this guy's cock wanted to tease Hannah. Make her embarrassed to make him take a quick shower, not disturb. The candy dealer said that the two of you look really compatible. Hannah said that the two are not lovers nor are they in a relationship at all. It makes Mrs. Trung feel really good because then she will have the opportunity to travel with Dong-du. Who doesn't like such a cool policeman? But because he had a job, he had to go to the station with Dong-du first. Hannah said she would be given special care by the 4 policemen here. During the commendation ceremony for fixing the police in Yensung, Hannah was a little tired at this time compared to standing in the sun for too long. Dong-yu was worried, but he turned around and covered her with his hand, as if he wanted to protect Hannah. Seeing his actions reminded her of the times when Dong-du appeared in front of her. It was all lovely protection that she was afraid that she would be hurt, to the fact that he traveled like an uncle who took his children to buy water for himself just because he was suffering from heatstroke. Hannah was no longer sunstroke, but intoxicated with him. Dong-yu was pulled back by her and told me to choose this drink. Because of this, many people were taken to the medical room, laughing as if you were suffering from sunstroke, specifically drunk with you. The brother with a chain on one side called the national player who was as weak as a little bit and was hospitalized. Back to the investigation. The red goats did not detect anything unusual from the guards they were carrying. There are absolutely no private calls at all. This nomad must have known what the policemen were doing. I suddenly remembered the last time I chased after this nomad. Dong-yu dragged Hannah to investigate with him. There must be some clues in this area. After imagining the scene, he threw his phone down. Hannah handed Dong-du a bottle of water to wash his face when he realized something. Did the other half of the phone that had already fallen down the sewer? Started to follow the sewer pipe to run to make Hannah curious. Coming to a section of the road, I only saw him lying as if he was cut off on the sewer surface. who is afraid that Dong-du is stuck in the sewer and cannot get out. At the end of the day, Hannah had to find someone to help. Where did the soul come from as soon as Hannah left? Ask the two of you what happened to each other? Because it was a private matter. Dong-du only showed off in front of Hannah to write a thank you letter. Seeing that Dong-du had no words to reveal, he was also jealous, but he was stuck here. Burn the sun and go bastard. After checking the fingerprint sample on the phone that Dong-du found, the examiner confirmed that this fingerprint was exactly that of the mermaid. The whole group exclaimed with joy. Restore that and then find the list that you are done with the game. Meanwhile, the candy dealer on this side is still trapped with the police. She could do nothing but go in and out because she was surrounded everywhere. Because of her mother's story, she went to the police station to sell insurance, but she blamed her mother. Why go there to seduce people? I don't know who is running now when she is being pressured to run the pie tree. Hannah also had to be silent because she was more concerned about not having money than she was about her father's death. After leaving the house, Hannah stopped by the monk for a while to buy some things. The boss saw that she bought such a big sausage. Thinking that she had a new book this time, Hannah proudly said that it was a winter trip. On the way home, Hannah was blocked by a hawker again, asking if she had met her mother. Hannah didn't want to go to the island anymore. Just the fact that he and his mother were in contact with each other made her feel extremely uncomfortable. When she saw the pink sausage she had just bought, she remembered. Dong-du also said that he coveted it. Not to mention that Dong-du had just arrived and followed Hannah like a bit of a book. I understand why she wants to keep such a distance from her. As soon as they entered the house, the three of them were surprised. Mr. Mansik has been here since when he announced everyone to go to the port of Bukwoo immediately. Go catch the person nicknamed the Devil at the head of the candy sales line. Everyone went there but didn't know that he was just a fake candy seller. It is known that this person is nicknamed Bong Piu. In the port of Bukwoo produces some kind of candy. While talking about candy, Mansik's brother pulled out a candy bar for everyone to eat so that he could sober up and act in the middle of the night. Hannah was curious as to why that strange girl remembered this. The Mansik only knew that the side of the line had already confirmed, so he just acted. Dong-ju couldn't help but be excited. He would definitely have to find a clue so that the other guy would rot in prison for life. But no matter how long they waited until morning, they only saw a man with hair like an 8-meter-tall head here. Han also found out that he was being followed, so he quickly ran away to the boat. Don't forget to wave to the people of Dongju, and have the opportunity to show off against each other. The Dongju girl and the river competed to practice flying, who was afraid of how to jump into the sea. I didn't even know how to swim, so I had to let brother Jihong throw it to the buoy. Just like that, the protagonist's aura was stolen by the stone line, and the MVP was no longer Dong's. After Hannah and the island line investigated, Mr. Jihong informed Dongju that these people are not real devils and do not know the person called the devil and the name of the parachute. So in order to gather more evidence, Dongju asked for permission to take some of this long-haired man's hair. The police also began to collect ingredients to make candy. Most of them are painkillers used in the preparation of apricots. This school must have done the biggest thing since the founding of the country. Hearing this, all the policemen were happy and celebrating. This candy is definitely likely to be promoted. After escorting Bong Piu to the station to celebrate, Dongju suddenly encountered a girl who looked a little disturbed. Suddenly, the stream caught her, making her feel the sun immediately. That's it, and your uncle refuses to be bored. So the three began to attract each other. After settling down, the A-line saw that the stone line was next to Hannah to work. It made her a little jealous. Because of the crime of looking at the bottle too boldly, the little girl was pinched by her father. Then I handed it over to my colleague and told her that if she ran anywhere, she would just stop. So suddenly the A-line had to live with the candy merchant again. And the brother with the chain suddenly didn't know why he was dressed in a dashing way. When I asked, I found out that I was preparing for the broadcast to be cool in public. Because he himself has caught my Tweez criminal gang quite large. During the interview, the island stream brought a report on the revenue of Ton not shipping. Although this place had a very high revenue at that time, it deliberately went bankrupt to visit the betrayal. Hannah found out that it was from a company called T. It was the ship with the apricot that was discovered to be transporting this morning. And this company is in charge of the main protection company of the Wu line. So under the guise of the Ming Tai, it froze. My Tui orders could be transported through the approval of the name Min Du Duong. Not stopping there, the island also investigated the representative of this ethnic group, Du Song-ti. The father behind him was even more formidable. His father was the mayor of Ijong. Du Duk-en-gu, the director of the department, often went to fight and trade with this mayor. Now I understand why that wanderer is often able to escape so easily. Suddenly, the pink goat realized something. At this press conference, the group of the name and Dedong also knew but gave up the central position in the press to Mr. Mansik. It was like wanting him to make a bulletproof beer for him. So Mr. Mansik was too angry, intending to give Captain a car kick because someone embarrassed himself and harmed himself. Mansik asked him when he knew about the case involving the mayor. Then the two rushed into each other's car in front of the department director. The director of the new department asked who had investigated the tea. Mansik, I really want to give this guy a beat. As for the street name, because he did not handle it carefully, he was discovered by the line. He was also called back and reprimanded, and he told this matter to be handled neatly. Mayor George Gill has been convicted in connection with the country's largest mith trade. He didn't expect that it was just a chess piece in Tang Dong's hand. He treated him like a pig and stepped under his feet. Duong Dong asked the mayor to handle this case neatly. Otherwise, he wouldn't have spared the mayor's name. Walking beside the road was the same coach who used to train Dong Du. Now everything is quite clear when Dong Du's beloved brother is killed by Tang Dong to make a few new plans. Tang Dong borrowed the name of a few more coaches, who were as tight-lipped as possible. Meanwhile, the Mansik brother blamed the juniors for abandoning him when he saw the need. One of them asked us to only support behind the scenes for the purpose of investigation, thinking that it was not good to eat someone who was cheap and had to excrete. It was to save the sin of the guy who stuffed meat into the mosquito net of Brother Mansik with the slogan of small sacrifice to contribute to the wind into a storm to eat and comfort Brother Mansik. After the meal, the sad Mansik was about to call someone when he was assassinated immediately. When Dong Du came closer, he saw that the Mansik was bleeding. The street man had his man stop him to take the gun from the Mansik. Use it to shoot at the buildings of the people's houses, causing a stir in public opinion. Suddenly, Hannah also received a notice from the forensic agency. It said that the man who died in the demon zone with blood on the girl who was there was exactly the same as the one obtained by close contact, not by being shot. The epidermal cells of the addict were also found there, making Hannah a little suspicious of the strange woman in the neighborhood she was guarding. Meanwhile, Ms. Trung, a candy trader, is gloating at the news that T Group is being investigated for being involved in the largest distribution of Mithri at the moment. Dong saw this girl and realized that she had seen this sister somewhere before, on the plane with her from the Philippines. With the name of this sister is Kim Jong-ha. Jong-ha just laughed, asking if you had seen that candy at that time. It wasn't until Dong Du returned home with Mansik that he discovered that this house had exploded. So Jong-ha deliberately did this to be able to escape this house. Mr. Mansik is determined to find his daughter. Meanwhile, Dong-e did not know that he was following a dangerous person. While everyone was forever looking for Jong-ha everywhere, they only found her sitting in front of the ice cream parlor and were called by the police just because they didn't have the money to pay for the ice cream. The Mansik brother couldn't help but be overjoyed, and asked his daughter where Jong-ha was, only to find out that she had already left first. Suddenly a bill was sent to Dong Du, but no one knew who the sender was when it was opened. Inside was Mansik's pistol. A bullet was finally missing, like it was aimed at someone. What did Dong you just call him? On the other end of the line were the words that Dong Du had said to Du Zhong: going to the ring is just a rope and you will be beaten immediately. Du Zhong deliberately targeted Dong Du's last relative, thus taking revenge on him and warning Dong Du not to touch him. So on that rainy night, Dong Du went alone to keep the rain and remembered his mother's funeral. Just remembering the scene of someone lying paralyzed on the ground and throwing a punch in the sky at the face of the Du. When Tang had just entered the warehouse of a shipment of gold, smuggled into a Korean port, every big gold bar is stored in shoeboxes. Hiding behind them were the transporters who had been hired by the dugout. But for him, it would be better if there were not many dirty rats in this case. So the hired transporters were immediately killed by him. After transporting the goods, appearing in front of the street name is crowded. He came here to give him a blow because he was the one who had deliberately harmed him. The self-styled punches of South Korea and the problems that Dong Du has endured for a long time. I should have punched the crippled eyebrow from repentance first. After finishing his actions, Dong Du ran straight to his aunt's house. But eat what cakes have been prepared in advance. The brothers also guessed where Dong Du was, so they also came here, ask him why he keeps acting thoughtlessly. But what then? How could Dong-yu endure when his only relative was harmed right in front of his eyes? Because of this, Dong-du was also warned. But also because of the influence of the crowd, this athlete's special investigation team may be disbanded. After arriving at the station, I heard from Mr. Dehong. Mr. Mansik had to endure the scene of being taken out by the correctional director as a pastime, try to apply for penalty relief to stay. He just came to see his brother and asked why he was drinking here? Because this guy is over-reporting, isn't it? Harming the repair director to the point of exhaustion. But because of the scarf that his wife gave him, Mr. Mansik said that it is a treasure that allows me to overcome fatigue and difficulties. The treasure can't be changed. Not to mention the present because it has not been possible to expose the crime of that wanderer. Mr. Mansik encouraged Dong-du not to quit his job. How could he let him go on and on like that? After arriving at the hospital, Hannah had been waiting here for a long time. Because he knows that he will likely need some things to change when he looks at his things. Seeing that his lover was a little weak, Hannah shouted, "The team hasn't disbanded yet, but just stays there moody." Then she put on her hand as if to encourage the crowd. It was the kind of thing that only Hannah could make this boy happy right away. Back at the police station. At this time, Mansik's team also received several reports containing information about Kim Jong-ha, the one who once led his daughter to burn down the house and fled. It is known that she has many other fake identities. Someone gave Jong-ha's identity and phone number. While investigating, Dong-du's brother had just returned. Ask what else this captain is going to trick you. Scamming from the press case so far is not enough, so that Dong-du does not take risks in the new investigation. Everyone quickly understood what they meant, and did not reveal to him the target they were investigating this time. Only Mansik and Jong-ha went to investigate the person who made the SIM phone. Seeing these people go to investigate without inviting them to travel like a child running after them, asking these two people to let me go with them. Brother Mansik immediately entrusted him with another task. It's to make myself silent. But you have all the blood on your brain, how can you solve the crime? Jong-ha on the one hand said that he would rather cause trouble for himself than cause trouble for others. So Dong-du continued to participate in this investigation. First, the team will have to find the fake phone dealer first. The most familiar person that Mansik could find was the name of the bald head. Seeing the police in front of him, he had no choice but to testify. There is a person who specializes in collecting other people's fake identities through being a tour guide, thereby taking a photo of the foreigner's passport. Convenient for reselling to the person making the fake phone and SIM. The documents sent by the surrogate will receive 10,000 won in wages. So to investigate who was at the head of the line as a fake phone number. The name of this guide was also taken to the station for interrogation. So all night and morning, this guy was put to sleep by Dongtsong 110. If you just fall asleep, you will be splashed with acid in your face, and you will find the person who made the fake phone. Until the morning, I saw that Dong-du was still enthusiastic. Everyone was worried about whether he was trying too hard. Then the name of the tour guide recognized the name of the big man as a fake phone number. So this police station began to look for people who had been related to him. I went to the house and asked if I saw any traces of this Zhang Zhong name. I really don't know if these policemen are going to stalk people or investigate information. Still in the hospital at this time. The candy merchant also stopped by to meet the traveler. Seeing him look extremely dilapidated made her feel pitiful. Give him a few things so that he can recover sooner. After a period of recovery, the traveler was finally discharged from the hospital. On the way back, he also asked the old coach of Dongdu if there was a place to sell fruit recently. Meanwhile, the crowd at the police station received a phone call from the hospital. He quickly ran over with Hannah, only to see that this name had been here for a long time. Dong-yu threw away the fruit basket he bought. I don't need these cheap things. Shoot other people and then come here pretending to be a good person. Hannah only looked at Dudong's hand and knew that he didn't know how to shoot a pistol, so he often injured his hand like that. Dong-du bluntly cursed Dudong as a joke. If you are good, play beautifully. But with these gangsters, there is no reason for them to play beautifully. Dong-du was about to punch him a few more times, but Hannah stopped him. Chased the traveler back with his fruit basket. He didn't even forget that if she was so good at shooting, she would have a chance to teach him. He will definitely hit the red heart. So Hannah seemed to be mad, holding a basket of junk fruits and throwing it directly at his face. I think you should take these things back and supplement your brain with vitamins. Dong-du on the other side couldn't help but feel that the girl he loved was burning. I like you too much. Suddenly, he was called back by the doctor to change the bandage because now Dong-du was injured and still exercised vigorously. He was warned that if he continued like this, there was a possibility that his hands would revel like a tyrannical dinosaur. The next day, the whole group of Mansiks continued to wait for the name of the fake phone dealer. Seeing the name of the middleman passing by, Mr. Mansik called the nickname and he also heard it. So everyone continued to play cat and mouse garden games all over the road. Arriving at the middleman's office, the Stone Line also investigated many different fake identities that he was making up to sell. When asked who the junk phone number was sold to, he refused to declare. So he traveled with his brother Mansik to let him return to his childhood and play the Ferris wheel. And the name Kwang-se because he constantly disclosed information to the police. He was also caught by the trading tycoon next to him, Leo. He just took the gun and sent the car back to worship his grandparents. But the sound of gunfire also quickly attracted the attention of Hannah and Zi Hong, who were investigating nearby. The two immediately chased after the suspects. But while running on the street, the climber and his teammates made a very scorching headshot. Hannah's tire exploded, causing the two of them to lose track of the boss beside him. Meanwhile, Zi Hong on this side also discovered the third boss in Korea's largest trafficking ring this time. One who once united gangsters and gangsters to border the Northeast Alliance. Korean Chinese people are called Baek Jie. And all of these guys have expanded their trafficking lines through a single person. That is Min Zuzong. The man saw that if he wanted to investigate these people, it would take several months. I don't know if this team has been disbanded by then. Not to mention that he also had some kind of relationship with the director of the department. But that's not why Dong-du is afraid. Whether he is the mayor or the director of the department, he is determined to find evidence to send this Zuzong name to prison. While discussing, the director of the department stopped by, startled the whole group to clean up all the plans just discussed. The director of the department came in front of Dong-du and said that he looked so stubborn and unruly. But after I stopped by, I made some photos to cover the pages of the newspaper and then some other cases later. On the side of the Zuzong, he had gathered 3 smugglers with areas in the 3 countries together. Prepare to do a big business that can fill the pockets of these 3 smugglers. In the evening, Dong-du Lin's group received news that they would be dissolved from the investigation case. The brother with the new chain asked Dong-yu why everything became like this. The new brother couldn't help it. He couldn't believe that he was implicating everyone and couldn't continue working. The disciplinary committee for Dong-yu kept coming out, making everyone worried. But fortunately, he was only suspended from work. When Dong-yu remembered all the reproaches, all the threatening words of the Zuzong, then he vowed to respect the rules in the competitions, and Dong-du decided to leave the disciplinary office. Just lost to everyone's surprise. Hannah felt disappointed because she thought that Dong-yu was about to do something stupid, and just as she thought, Dong-du went to see the head of the security department of the Z9 company. It also means that the old district member always talks next to the Duzong. Just like that, everyone lost contact with Dong-du for 3 days. Hospitals don't see a place to work. Until he arrived at the office, the man saw Dong-yu hiding like a roll under the table. Seeing his face made him unable to control his emotions. This guy is going to cause trouble again, right? I grew up and worked all day without thinking. It took people a few days to find blood. At this time, although I was full of injuries, I only knew how to follow after Hannah. Hannah also showed great disgust with Dong-du, asking him what he was following for. Dong-du took out the hand she had given him. Ask if you have nowhere to go today. Can you sleep at Hannah's house? This word made Hannah even more disgusted than asking him if he was always the same. I thought it would be enough to do everything in a daze and then laugh and laugh. Hannah didn't want a useless person to stay by her side, so she also chased Dong-yu away. Dong-du can only retreat alone. So much so that he didn't dare to go back to the dormitory anymore. The brother carried a chain because he didn't see the crowds everywhere, and he wondered where a person who didn't have a home to go could eat and sleep. And then Dong-du no longer goes to work. The sheriff called the brother with the chain to tell him that the group would not be disbanded. The brother jumped up and down with joy but still didn't understand why. Until the chief mentioned Dong-du and didn't say anything to everyone. It turned out to be so that the chain's task force would not be disbanded and suspended. Dong Du directly came to find the name of Du Rong to solve everything in a man's way. Grudges between people should only be settled on that person. Dong Du didn't want to drag anyone else into this case. Of course, the Wanderer also agreed on the condition that he had to withstand the corresponding number of blows. When this story was told by the chain-bearing brother, Hannah only realized that she had misunderstood the day before and abandoned Dongyu when he needed her the most. She immediately went to the gym, which was crowded and visited, but she didn't see the crowd anywhere, no matter how Hannah called it. Dongdu also didn't want to answer the phone, but only looked at the phone ringing. During that time, even though it was a real misunderstanding, Dongdu seemed to have no courage to look at Hannah's face after being cursed by her for a bloody battle. Suddenly, Dongdu had a nosebleed. He quickly ran to the toilet and remembered what the doctor said, asked if he had been in the spotlight lately or if it was an inconvenience. Dongdu was diagnosed with a lot of beating, leading to a partial brain injury, then advised Dongdu to treat it as soon as possible. As for Hannah, since Dongdu went missing, she also missed him very much. Even the dog at the convenience store was named exactly like Dongdu. Recently, he has been a little sick, so the owner of the shop saw that he didn't eat anything. Only when Hannah fed him would he eat. Just like that, day after day, Hannah texted the crowd. He threatened not to pay attention to him anymore, but there was no response. This time, she came back again and met the wandering boy. Everywhere is touching the winter travel book. Don't be in front of Hannah. Dongdu's expression still looks extremely pitiful. Hannah didn't even forget to tease the champion to be beaten and bruised like that, because he secretly used the name of his coach Chin in a match. Dongdu said that he was really good at taking blows. It's okay to be beaten and bruised. Just as she was about to leave, Hannah held Dongyu back. Just take the blow and that's it. If you haven't caught that obnoxious name, just run away. However, for Dongdu, there were no two giving up. No matter how much he was bruised, he could still continue to stand up and take the next blow. It was because of this that Hannah liked to travel, and the two of them just went forward and gave each other a healing kiss. After kissing, Dongdu was about to leave, but Hannah wondered where he was going. Don't stay here with me, what do you do and have nowhere to go? Dongyu thought it was also right, so he finally slapped at Hannah's house for a period of time to come. It was only in the morning that my grandfather asked for a French kiss in the morning. Currently, the team has a small task to teach elementary school students life skills at the police station. Each person has their own array. Man City's brother woke up on artificial respiration. Hannah teaches the children how to shoot. Zong got up to fight fencing, but the boy played a little dirty. He was better than losing little by little to teach his brother a lesson. Probably each brother with a pink goat is the easiest to breathe because it only takes to throw a saucer. As for Dongdu, in order to excuse himself, he also had to go to the director of the department to help massage him. The first time he got a massage, he felt extremely kimochi, so he asked Dongdu where he used to do massage. It's the #1 Korean brand of kumquat massage. The director of the department advised him to quit being a police officer and go for a massage. It was not until the mayor arrived that he could return to his team. Seeing the brother Dongdu returning, the two brothers who just yesterday even blamed him jumped up and hugged him. But looking at his face in such a fresh rosy, the Man City brother didn't know if he had taken any tonic or not. Dongdu just looked at Hannah, making everyone wonder. Yesterday I was able to kiss people's daughters, but it was as happy as a book. Hannah pulled Dongyu aside. Tell him to be careful not to reveal the fact that the two are secretly dating. But now the person who takes the initiative is Dongyu, not Hannah anymore. Dongdu made an appointment to meet at home in the evening. They'll bring things over. He happily took his child to the gym to retrieve his thick stuff when he found that the poetry book had disappeared. It turned out that it had been stolen by Mrs. Chum Mai Tui for a long time because she found it interesting. The feeling of love poetry is real. The Bunch guy on the side heard this and immediately took off his shirt to show off, but Mrs. Bunch Apricot Tui didn't have much flavor. When he climbed, he found that he looked terrible, vomiting and unpleasant. When he arrived, he was asked when the goods would be available. These people urged, but Dusong said that it was a little slow to have something good for everyone to see. Customs clearance is no problem. There is a problem with the new transportation, so it is a little slow. Not to mention the Bunch guys wondering why they let that crowded policeman alive. Dusong wanted to look at him swaying, so he didn't want to deal with it. Currently, Dong Dus Group does not know where to start investigating the Dus Mai Tui. The captain of the security guard next to him suddenly stopped by to inform everyone that the shooting of the car driver had also been assigned to him. Mansik's investigation team has also not been investigated further. Not knowing where to find more salt, the Mansik brother seemed to be super crooked. When he opened his shirt, he saw that his brother was red as if he had been bitten by something. The whole group remembered that when they found the apricot in the harbor, there was some kind of fire ant. It is possible that the Mansik brother was climbed on his body by these poisonous fire ants and stung several times. If it is poisonous, it is likely to cause an unconscious coma. The Mansik brother didn't believe it, thinking it was okay. But as soon as he walked, he lost consciousness immediately. Then, finally, after going to the hospital, the doctor checked that the brother not only had a slightly poisoned nose, he also had acute diarrhea, and his whole body was sick. Dong-du just asked his brother to come in. But having an ant like this is a sign for the group to have more clues about investigating the nomad. So he used the excuse to kill the ants at the medical port. The whole team, immediately dressed in clothes of the Epidemic Prevention and Control Department and insects, successfully broke into the warehouse at the port of Waisung. After a while of searching, many travelers took the opportunity to run after Hannah and order dumplings. It wasn't until she saw Hannah standing in front of a container looking at something. Dong-yu ran to order dumplings and found something, and then Hannah ran back from another place. So who is the person in front of me? It turned out that the candy merchant stopped by to meet Dong-du because she was too in love. She immediately ran away and was hit by Hannah with an invisible blow. The dragon spirit quickly stopped her. But that's not why Du and Ha forgot to let go of the crowd a little. Ronghorn wanted to take her back to the station, but she kept disturbing her, saying that she was being bitten by this ant. After walking for a while, he felt that the island rolled to the ground and fainted immediately. Everyone thought that she was poisoned by real ant bites. Dong-yu stopped by her ear to try it out, and she kissed him. "Just miss my baby." Then the disciples began to rush over. Fortunately, there were enough people in time to support Hannah. But that's also why he lost track of this candy merchant. She remembered that she was standing in front of a container booth earlier. Dong-du knows where the goods are hidden. After a while, the police also quickly arrived at the booth containing the teddy bear. Inside, there is indeed a hedgehog, but it was more like it was itching all over my body. When he pointed it out, he saw that he was being bitten by ants. He was immediately taken to the doctor. Dragonflies are diagnosed as allergic to venom. Injections are required. When the waiter sees the needle, the brother suddenly came out like a 4, asking if the doctor could prescribe medicine. "Your face is now sunburned?" So in order to be able to inject drugs, Dong-du gave Rong how to enjoy an effective anesthesia immediately. His whole team carried chains because of this incident and carried the container truck to the police station. The director of the department doesn't know what to bring back the chain for himself this time. The whole team, because of the great achievement, invited everyone to eat together. Call everyone to go ahead. And Donjia's group is hollow like a ship. After leaving, everyone wondered why Dong-du didn't have a home but went in the same direction as Hannah. Rong Shen suspected that these two people were together, taking the reason that the old man should let Dong-yu stay next door. Dong-yu followed his hands and feet, but his eyes kept turning towards Hannah. It looks extremely sinful. But when he arrived at the house of the dragon, Dong-du was only given a set of blankets and pillows, and the room he stayed in was Rong-han's warehouse. Dong-du also saw a storage box full of old memories of Rong-han. There was even a photo taken with Hannah that made him a little jealous. Is really a love name. But when he saw a newspaper talking about a young man who injured his left eye, he was retired. Dong-du recalled that year in the National Gold Medal Tournament. Bigger than at this time, the temperament of a person is not inferior to anyone. Dong-du was also there at that time, showing off the gold medal with a young smile as if challenging whether he won the gold medal or not. But a rare incident occurred. The opponent's sword suddenly broke and pierced through the dragon's protective helmet, injured him in the corner of his left eye. It became a psychological obsession that made Rong Ho have to retire. He realized that he had punched Rong Han's left eye the day before. Dong-du immediately ran out and told me to go a little and then come back. As for the greener, he just stood making coffee. Just remembered that Hannah had behaved a little differently recently when it came to traveling in the east. Even the stray dog near Hannah's house was named Dong-du by her. Looking at it, it was enough to understand what her feelings were for him. After a while, Dong-yu also returned with a pile of elixirs. Ask if the wound on the left eye is wrong. He wanted to smear the scar to atone for his sins. Who would have thought that the struggle of the two people looked more like a couple of lovers who cared about each other? Hannah is just a front. Meanwhile, in the base area of the Wanderer, the slackers also knew the news that their goods had been lost at the port of Waisung. Du Rong wondered why the police could know exactly where the seal was placed. Suddenly there was a sound that caught everyone's attention. Turned out that the car light in the trunk of the car was screaming because he needed to go to the toilet. It turned out to be the last time before he was shot. The car owner slipped his hand because his mother called. Even if he falters again, standing in front of his mother must also cry. Because I don't want to climb to kill people. He spared the car a life. He just told everyone that this name was given to him by his mother. Du Yong angrily poked the knife at the foot of the car. Ask him how much he has heard. At the same time, these sluggish people didn't notice. The driver held the stick while running and crying like a child. As for the seaweed kissing after the province, it is easy to see that his face is full of brand-name bandages. Currently, the Mansik's team has a mission to escort the trucks to the supply depot. Mr. Mansik received a phone call informing him that he had found the name of the car. So the two of them continued to come to see him. Make him cry like a child because he just wants to live in peace. He was shot and then stabbed. Brother Mansik apologized and asked him to tell him everything. However, he still told everything. Tell him that the Wanderer will let the person steal his cart back. Mansik called the pink goat to find out. There are only a few escort cars for my Tui goods. The director of the department has already gathered. So Mansik quickly called to Hannah, asking her to quickly change the route first after passing through the tunnel. But when he entered the cellar, the Bull Lodge's troops quickly approached and planted a bomb on the police car, but blocked the trunk of the cart. Rong Hong had to fight against the armed people alone. Especially Mr. Mansik and Dongdu on this side are no exception. The road was blocked by a group of military uniforms dressed in police uniforms. But Dongdu was not bored. He took off his grandfather's belt and asked him how many games he could play. Even though they had to be injured, the two of them still rushed up, hitting these guys without knowing what pain is. And Hannah seemed more critical. However, she also has hot goods prepared. Shoot at the guys one by one. The red goat on this side was also attacked by the bulls. Crashed into a pink goat's car with a colleague. His opponent was a little skinny guy. This time, Dong Dus investigation team seems to have to confront the real scum since he became a police officer. The dragonfly confronted the slacker of the Chinese. The man was softer, but he also encountered a co-worker. Dongdu alone is a bit difficult because he alone has to confront a group of aggressive street boys. Despite fighting the mafia alone, Dongdu was still able to take 10 boys. After executing all the soldiers, he put on his helmet. Choose the best big displacement bike and start the rescue of your friends. Dongdu also reached the place of the red flower. Make a drift and get up and ask, "What did you just do to my son?" The boy at his father's house came to the needle and was still afraid. "What are you bullying him for?" "It's okay not to know. Let this dad teach you a lesson. The crime of daring to bully his son." This name is despite the announcement. Every crime against him was the #1 puncher in Korea, but he was also punched in the face. Each sin does not understand what is going on. Dongdu was hit by a man named Du with a car. The dragon that was about to get on the bumper was also knocked unconscious. Even though Dongyu was hit so far, he still escaped. The Wanderer asked what it felt like to be on the side of the road. No matter what you plan, the result will be the same. Why do you make yourself so miserable? He said that for Dongyu, today will be an impressive day. Dongyu told him back. Having gone to the ring is to fight for your life. You'll see me tomorrow today. It's true that the guys who play only know the morals. It's true that gangsters don't expect them to play clean. Dongyu and the pink dragon wanted to find Hannah. However, the Wanderer soldiers did not allow the two of them to do that. And Hannah after being beaten to pieces. The candy vendor also stopped by and looked at her very gloatingly. However, the important thing now is to still move the box of apricot goods first. When the container left, Hannah tried to jump into the car, then made a punch to a person of the Taekwondo tribe. Rong Hong and Dong Din quickly defeated the juniors. Then he started running towards Hannah, but only one car was on fire. When the police arrived, Dong Du reported to the brother who carried the chain that he could not contact Hannah. Even the tracking device on the cargo container has been removed. The chain bearer said that his brother was also seriously injured. Taken to the hospital. These guys were able to ambush here because they had prepared in advance. If you want to catch these guys, you definitely need more people. When Dongdu was worried, he told Ronghan to go to the hospital for a checkup first, but he didn't want to. The first priority now is to find the right one. Heard of looking for Hannah. Dongdu said that he wanted to go find it with him. Then it would be better to make the Ronghan sober up and let me drive. To the fall of her. One is to hang the winter glass to the side. The second is to hang in winter. The two didn't know which side to turn on when they both began to imagine that the container was likely to turn to the right. And indeed, there was Hannah's shoe left as a sign. The two continued to follow the clue to the next two turns. Ronghan discovered one more shoe of hers on this stretch of the road. Continue to go one more paragraph. The two of them discovered Hannah's coat again. After walking for a while, the two of them discovered Hannah's sleeve again. Attached inside is the phone that has run out of battery. Then even the lingerie inside her had been taken off. Arrived at a warehouse area. The two of them couldn't find out anything more. Meanwhile, Hannah on the container came here before. She waited for these people, but when she didn't notice, she broke into the container. And Dongdu now found another glove. Contains information about the number plate of another container shipping container. So Ronghan immediately called Mansik. Asked him to investigate the route of the license plate 1314. When he arrived at the police station, because of the failure of the box escorts, Mr. Mansik dragged the two brothers to hide from the director of the department. Now if you are arrested, you can't do anything. Then Mr. Mansik made Dongdu turn off all the phones. Now we have to listen and see what these people are talking about. Because the current situation is a bit urgent. The whole group of people can only operate underground without being notified to their superiors. The gathering place is none other than a pawn shop. The pawn shop uncle still thinks this place is a detective company. Last night, he didn't even let people go to bed. After reviewing the route of the car with license plate number 1314, the group saw that it was following National Highway 23. But looking at all the side roads on the map, no. It's hard to check them all. I don't know where to start. Suddenly, the intelligence of the shop uncle called. Bao told everyone that the car had contacted the broker to cross the sea. Multi-sword port at 4 a.m. The sword ship is crowded. So it was early in the morning while the bald friend was preparing to cross the border to escape from the bandits. Unexpectedly, he was surrounded by 4 gangsters. He immediately ran away and had to close the bin, work and reveal a teddy bear containing goods. Dongdu just asked if it was a gift from Mindu. Why was the transportation of the policeman exposed? It turned out that there was a reason for it. It is true that after the stone stream opened the bear, inside was a small package of apricot trees. He kept saying that it was a cold medicine. Then he began to get thirsty, drinking water while avoiding Dongdu's testimony, and the barbarian brother wanted to stop him from taking it. That's why Dongdu asked you if you know that I never drink water in competitions, because with a body whose organs contain water, just one punch can destroy the internal organs. At this time, he didn't drink water anymore. He turned to ask the whole team if the police could protect him this time, and then shook his hand. He must have lost faith in the police after being forced to bow several times. He had just started to trade with the Japanese. The Golden Rabbit will definitely know the place of those guys' transactions. The light guy will only know each one, so the 2 people who traveled with the river have returned to the prison. Ask the Golden Rabbit where the transaction with the Japanese will take place. The stone threatens that if he refuses to testify, he will definitely not have the opportunity to meet the Silver Rabbit brother in the future. However, the 2 of them threatened to slow down a step, the wanderer who had come here, carrying the 2 teeth of the Golden Rabbit brother. Told the Golden Rabbit to keep quiet because his brother was not dead, and the Golden Rabbit told the island and the east, unless the 2 of them could bring his brother here. Otherwise, it would be a long time before he revealed any information. Because the Golden Rabbit without words revealed any information, making Dongdu more and more worried because the whole team had not had any contact with Hannah for more than a day, and his mind suddenly whirled. However, he still tried hard to tell everyone to investigate the places where the Golden Rabbit had traded before. So in the evening, Luang Han brought all the documents from the office to the pawn shop, and then began to investigate together. In Dongdu's condition did not seem to be very good, somewhere at Waisung port. Hannah was hiding in a pile of boxes containing apricot that looked extremely dangerous. Mr. Man Sich also received news from the police station. The police side is now very chaotic. The protesters on the side of the former coach of the caravan were coming to the police station just for throwing things at the marketer, so much so that he was immediately hospitalized. The director of the department took the opportunity to start the blockade. This is obviously an act of challenging the government, life for the crime of not sealing the canvas. So it was because of these nonsensical protests that the escort of the barbarians was attacked, and I knew that it was the plan of the nomads. Dongyu still didn't rebel like last time just because he was restraining himself, trying to think of a way to find Hannah first. Only when he found it, Dongdu burst into flames because it was a little stuffy in the room all day. Dongdu could only go out in the wind, looking at Hannah's appearance but worried. The headache suddenly came, causing Dongdu to drop the phone. He was so tired that he was worried, but no one would accept anyone. Dongdu asked you to go rest, friend. At a port, the traveler was discussing business with the Japanese man about how he would divide the goods into portions. That way, he was not investigated, but the Japanese didn't want to because he wanted to transport it in one go. So in order to give this name a gift for prestige, the wanderer shot and killed the interpreter. Bao Ming is the interpreter from now on. No one else will know about our business, so is it reputable enough to trade gradually? The boxes were quickly transported to the Japanese warehouse, and Hannah took the opportunity to go unnoticed and jumped out of the box and escaped. The slacker stopped by the warehouse of the Japanese people who were about to destroy the bottle of wine, but he was afraid that the Russian mother pointed a gun at his head. If he didn't want to die, don't touch other people's things. This thing was a gift. Seeing the Russian slack's gun, Hannah suddenly thought that it was somewhat similar to the description in her father's case file that year. However, the more important thing for her now is to leave this organization, running away not long ago. Hannah was also discovered by the slacker of Chinatown. She was also quickly surrounded. The wanderer didn't say much and buried her in pain lying on the ground. He was curious to know whether to consider Hannah brave or stupid. The Chinese slacker didn't know how to cut her off so that the two of them could just throw it straight away. But the candy merchant stopped her. On the first day of declaration, you should not shed blood because that will lead to bad luck. In fact, it is like protecting Hannah. She was quickly thrown into a warehouse by these people, including a few friends who gave each of them a little silence. The traveler told Hannah that after he got on the ship and crossed the Pacific Ocean, he would drop the barrel into the sea. Hoping she lived until then, seeing the Russian slack, she stopped him and asked in 2008 at the port of Yensung. There was a case where the Russian mafia was shot dead, and a police officer in charge of that case was also shot dead, and that person was Hannah's father. He remembered that year when Hannah's father brought evidence to the port of Yangsung. He was shot and wounded by an assassin in the car. It happened to be the same slacker who climbed that year, but he didn't reply to Hannah, just closed the container door. Fortunately, when she was thrown here by the other guys earlier, Hannah got a phone from a guy in time, and quickly went to catch the wave to call the switchboard for help. After receiving the news, the switchboard also quickly sent a message to Mr. Mansik through the recording that Hannah sent. The main position was in the shipyard overlooking the Yen Pulse Bridge. Everyone immediately recognized that place was the Gumbo shipyard. According to the announcement of departure, De Hong knew that a cargo ship would leave at 3 a.m. But it didn't take long for Hannah to be beaten by the juniors until she left it again. After arriving at the Gumbo River, Dong Dust Group discovered that the plum transporters were rushing to transport goods, and the time for the ship to leave the port was only 20 minutes. The group had to find out about Hannah before she was thrown into the Pacific Ocean. The light man will ask Dong-du, "Can I leave after I finish my work?" Of course, that's fine. Dong-yu asked him if his legs were healthy, and then took off his arms. But instead of letting him go, he threw him in the middle in front of the Japanese. It was a pawn that couldn't be better, but when no one noticed, Dong-du with a stream of spirits ran into the pile of boxes, knocked on the containers one by one to find Hannah, and heard the call of Dong-du. Hannah also wanted to go out and knock on the box. Those guys didn't know what Dong-du was doing. Siyu annoyed the two of them to sleep right away, telling me where Hannah was. She hadn't been punched. Hannah knocked helplessly on the door. But the call of the crowd with the flow of soul quickly attracted the attention of the Japanese, who knocked on the door while hitting him, and finally found the place where Hannah was hiding. Dong-yu hurriedly hugged her, apologizing for being a little late. Looking at the million-dollar face that turned out to be like this made a lot of people, but there was no time to review the feelings. The three of them quickly led each other to leave the shipping area. To the chagrin of the soul, he was stabbed by the shipman, and Dong-yu ran out to kick him. "I told you last time not to touch my son, but if you don't listen, you will punch him and then you lock him outside the door." But the situation of Dong-du was not very good, and now the soldiers were as large as the army. The thing that can help him fight his fear is to rush up, to tell the soul to take him out. Now that he has found an important person, he must be mad. However, the soul stream does not leave you. The two open a retreat for the soul flow with Hannah gradually retreating. After that, Dong-yu blocked the door alone so that the two of them could leave first, but the soul flow with Hannah was not easy to escape. There was also a falter with a gun here. He fired a single shot, causing him to fall into the sea. After the soul stream lost consciousness in the sea due to being shot, the gangsters did not want to be involved, so they also fled. And Dong-du didn't want to lose his new son, so he jumped into the sea to save the river, each sin because he had only learned half of the swimming course, so he didn't have much strength. It took Hannah again for the two of them to pull the soul to the shore. His situation now looked very critical. Everyone could only wait in front of the operating room. Hoping that the soul stream would not encounter anything, the mayor in the name was also called by the stream, but he turned off the phone because he was busy. So the traveler took the money for the person who came with him to meet the mayor Chubby, who only knew how to bite, and saw the mayor as if he saw it. Just because the wanderer asked him to do one thing, that was to remove the news about the discovered trading port, but because he kept making excuses, he didn't listen. The new traveler approached and forced the mayor to open his mouth. Isn't this chubby mouth not enough money? I have taken care of him little by little, but this bag must not be enough. Threatened by the gangster, the Coast Guard was immediately stationed at the shipyard with a mirror, competing for investigation with the police. The brother brought a chain to listen to the telegram from Captain T, and even the prosecutor was also here. It is true that the younger brother works as a ferry policeman and the older brother only knows how to flatter. The situation of the soul is better, but it is quite good. But Hannah looks quite heartbroken and everyone. But the worst person must have been Dong-yu. Even though he was sick, he still tried to go to the house to get his daily necessities. By chance, he discovered a low optical axis, indicating that the soul had ruptured a ligament in 2018. Why that year when Dong-yu went to see Hannah? She said that she was busy and then he had to wait for her alone on that winter night. Carrying his belongings to the hospital, Dong-du asked his brother Mansik about the situation of the Horn Line. I don't know if he can go back to work. The eyes and legs of the soul line don't seem to be very good. After the spirit stream woke up, Hannah worriedly asked how his health condition was, and seeing that his adopted son had woken up was a little less worried. He also didn't forget to give the soul line's things to Hannah, and then comfort her. Mansik's team suffered a lot of damage because of the investigation of this case. The director of the department disbanded Mr. Mansik's team. In this team, perhaps only Dong-yu is the most silent. When he was reminded by the doctor to pay more attention to his health, when his condition was becoming more and more unstable, there is a possibility that Dong-du will also damage the optic nerve and worse, he will be blind, remembering that he was punched and scratched in his left eye that year. Dong-du just fell unconscious to the ground without anyone knowing, 3 months after the special investigation team disbanded. The soul line also received news about its comrades. The Mansik brother works as a normal investigating policeman, and the Red Goat returns to be a guide for the children. Seeing that Mr. Mansik was tortured, he did not forget to say hello. Because of the demolition, it was difficult to pay the debt. Hannah was no better off when she returned to the paperwork room, where she was scolded by her former co-workers. When the soul line asked about the crowd, he had now been transferred to do some social welfare work, much more tragic than the rest. In addition to having to go on a manual labor trip, Dong-du still does not forget to take care of him at the nursing home. Because he had no home, Dong-du had to stay at his brother Mansik's house. After bandaging himself, Dong-du wanted to go out when his brother Mansik came to ask. Today there is a market support session and in a few days there is a community service session at the bank. The current Dong-du is even more tragic than protecting my old year's salary. I love my brother too much. Mansik called for Dong-du to come and protect his juniors, maybe even better. Seeing his brother staring, Mansik was a little shy to ask his uncle what crooked he was looking at. To talk about the relationship between these two brothers, it must be about the year Dong-du was in high school. He is known as a level 3 young punching machine. Every guy gets punched once for 5. When Mr. Mansik came to investigate, he punched him and broke his nose. The king argued and was taken to the police station. Mansik heard that this brother was nothing more than being bullied and being troubled by the other people. But Dong-du has no relatives other than his mother. Just because he couldn't bring medicine to his mother in time, he also became a blind child. Then he started not wanting to resist being punched anymore, seeing his brother injured all day long. It was his brother Mansik who brought back the light to Dong-du, leading him to the path of becoming a professional boxer. However, his career quickly ended because he was played badly by his former coach. Given that Dong-du used to burn the battery, but after 2 years this injustice was also solved, and Dong-du was no longer interested in punching. After retiring, Mansik invited him to work as a police officer as a special athlete. Dong-du is very grateful that Mansik always helps him in difficult times. Zhonghan is also starting to perform rehabilitation. Knowing that he had broken the cross-white rope since Dong-du brought the low-light axis, Hannah remembered the old days because in order to save herself, the Zhong soul had a white rope broken. That's why in the last gold medal tournament, Zhong Han lost to his opponent. Hannah blamed why Zhong Han didn't speak. Zhong was curious. If he said it, would the love between the two of them still be there, right? Zhong Han still wanted to go back then, and now he still wanted to start with Hannah again. Then his teammates were shot, and Dong-du decided to start training again. Even when Hannah sent a message, Dong-du didn't know what to respond to. This traveler was in the flower shop with his acquaintance when the devil came to inquire. Where was the person she was looking for now? He only gave the demon a relic from that person. This tells the candy merchant that he is in possession of that person's life, as long as she finishes the last batch of candy. The next morning, when Hannah had just put on her military uniform to visit her father, her mother stopped by with a few islands, but Hannah didn't care. She only knew herself, but she had never come to soothe her father. Arriving in front of the grave, Hannah discovered the bottle of whiskey that the Russian scumbag had once held was still here. So he wanted to apologize to Hannah's father. At the hospital, the soul has been discharged by her brother. The brother always felt troublesome, but the brother also did not want to come to see Dong Han. He came here today just to give the soul a paper confirming the relinquishment of the inheritance. Because I know what kind of person my father is. Being a police officer and being shot is not a system. However, his brother still told him, if you want to hide, hide carefully, and if you want to fight, just try your best to hit. Remember to stay healthy. Dong-du is currently also working as a public worker at a bank. The wandering name also appeared in front of him. He simply withdrew money from his savings account today. He also didn't forget to thank Dong-du for retiring thanks to him. Dong-du told him if you thank him, you should invite people to a meal. Who cares if he invites his companions to go out to eat? Admittedly, people who don't have friends are really suitable for eating together. Meanwhile, Hannah is still encroaching on her father's case. I don't know what that Russian slacker has to do with his father. However, he was forced by his colleagues to clean the warehouse. Hannah couldn't investigate further. Unexpectedly, when she just entered the document warehouse to clean up, she discovered documents about that year in her father's case again. The smuggler that year was called Oh Bong-chan, suspected of being killed by a bullet shot in the head with a Russian Tokazev gun. As for Dong-du, after returning to the bank, he remembered the words of the parachute who said, no matter what he did, he couldn't change anything. The only thing that governs everything in this world is money. But Dong-yu wanted to prove it to him. He can use his fists to change everything. Even when Hannah texts me, Dong-du didn't pay attention, but only focused on regaining strength. He began to go to illegal places and execute all the parachute's men. Where are you going? The juniors were all sent to prison. The goal of Dong-du is to collect the watches of the juniors under the parachute syndrome. Until the parachute came, he only received the news that a certain guy in secret clothes had come here to give everyone a fight. Just like that, he continued to wander to other places where the parachute's prohibited goods were traded. He had decided to let go of what he had to endure. Don't spare anyone. Even the manager of the shopping center was locked up like a pig. Then he asked him what other people owned this watch. Until the police arrived, these people were also arrested because they were all illegal smuggling. The news of a mysterious hero who went to crack down on illegal activity zones was also quickly on TV. The goal of Dong-du is to get rid of all the smugglers, starting with the first ones. Rong Han also decided that he couldn't fall in love as a boxer in the ring. Between each half, there is about a minute to rest. Just that one moment is enough for Dong-du to feel sober. Have the power to fight one more battle. In every match, from observing the blow to finding the opponent's opening, it is very important. Dong-du has been waiting for that opportunity since he stepped on the field against his opponent. Taking the opportunity to lose his armor, he knocked out a knockout. From there, winning the victory was like he defeating a small province of the Duzhong. Hannah still tried to call Dong-du but only received a message to call back. So when he came back, Hannah had already prepared a suit for the trip. Because of this, Dong-du chased after Hannah, but she soon left. The brother was chained in ruins because he didn't know what his brother was doing on TV. Currently, the news of the wanted name of the car is also broadcast nationwide. And the stream has also gradually recovered after the last time it was shot by the Russians. He returned to the headquarters and was given the autopsy report by the forensic doctor. There were 2 unidentified bodies at the delivery place of the other gangster. The brother carried the chain because he didn't know where Dong-du was, so he also came to look for the name of the car. Ask him where Dong-yu is now. The current light car was still running away from the others. Who knows where Dong-yu is? So the two old friends together began to search for companionship. Each crime goes to any base that wanders by. Both of them were chased away like exorcisms. Because of the people who lied in these places, the two brothers were chased to death by the gangsters. Fortunately, when he was surrounded by gangsters, Dong-du appeared as a hero to save two beautiful pigs. Fight the gangsters to rescue the two brothers. Hannah was also present for the background, pushing a few barrels to entangle the bears. Then there was a harmony that closed the door of the Force. Let Grandpa teach you a lesson. The Bearhead Bears were executed with a rite of companionship. When reuniting with his group, the brother carried the chain of blame for why the cases had cooled down and what else to do. Dong-du said that he had to dig it up so that it was hot. A civil servant like a nomad can send gangsters like the North Koreans and Russians. Then the police and the market. Surely his power must be related to money. That's why Dong-du targeted the juniors to find clues. The last wave also received news from the autopsy side. It shows that there are 3 bodies in the dock area, one of which belongs to an international student, an unknown one. The other one lost 2 doors, possibly the Golden Rabbit's brother. After the meal, Dong-du offered to take Hannah home, but she didn't want to. Directly go to Dong-du's gym to see how he is eating these days. She wanted to travel to teach martial arts to herself. But he was only afraid that Hannah would get hurt. She began to cry with anxiety, blamed Dong-du for only knowing how to act alone with no one by his side. If Dong-du can't handle the nomad, he won't stop. Because she was so emotional. She couldn't hold back herself, just rushed to kiss Dong-du because I hadn't seen him for a long time. She missed the crowd very much. Meanwhile, the North Korean falter who manages the Chinese people constantly complains about the fact that he has not made any profit from the recent crops. Du Liang immediately handed over the business to the coach. And the main thing he wanted to give to this sluggish guy, it is to trade their own candy together. Only the two of them knew how to make a profit from this. It won't reach the ears of the devil, so this sluggish guy also agrees with the wanderer. Meanwhile, the devil is still constantly producing new candies. So tired that she almost fainted. Fortunately, the sluggish climber helped her. It seemed that he liked the devil, telling her not to try too hard. The devil said that he stayed here just to try to find a person again. This person is both the person she needs to find and the person she values the most. The next day, while doing public cleaning at the police station, Dong-du received a phone call from the name Du Shui who had made an appointment to talk. Originally a person who likes to go and destroy the base of the nomad. So the crowd this time looks extremely delicious. That's why I called him a good friend, so let's keep in touch with him regularly. Seeing Dong-du's expression like this, Du Luong asked if he must have exercised too much, so he was very hungry. Dong-du replied bluntly, dead and exposed. Somehow, the wanderer was so angry that he threw away the plate of food on the table. He advised a person like Dong-yu to know his fate, otherwise he would meet death. However, Dong-du was not afraid. He also challenged him by throwing on the table a pile of things from the juniors of the nomads. He immediately smiled. What do these guys know? Du Luong used to be a very hard-working office worker who dreamed of becoming a civil servant to become rich, until one time he discovered the largest smuggling ring in Korea at that time. Seeing a boy with this eagerness to learn, he said that it is not enough to have a brain alone. If you want to make money, follow me and let me teach you. Since then, he has only begun to be enlightened, becoming a new merchant of the quiet area. After the island line came to meet the Golden Rabbit, he told him that his brother's murder had been killed by the thugs. The main evidence is the DNA test that the Han line has asked forensics to test. The new island line asked the Golden Rabbit how much money that wanderer had. Did it reach hundreds of billions? The Golden Rabbit laughed. Monkeys. Tell him the amount of money he has, you policemen can't imagine. He is a person who specializes in using money to fill a container. It only took him 2 years to prove his ability. His money was not counted in billions, but he was counted in pounds. The Sejong city alone operates with its own money. It was the city of Ejong. After gathering information from the Golden Rabbit's name, the island also came back to tell everyone the name of the famous old smuggler named Ordala. Previously, the Golden Rabbit also revealed that the provincial manager of the river was a man named Segway. If he is caught, everyone will definitely find the place where the wanderer hides the money. Hannah also began to pull out the pile of documents she had found in her father's case. His full name is Sergei Kirillovich Brodsky. So the crowd immediately asked Mr. Mansik where the goat was. Since he was demoted, his family has always fallen into debt and has no money to pay for living expenses. The New Island Line stopped by a little to encourage the red goat. Ask if you can help your brother or not. The red goat doesn't need the help of the island. He could only ask him to relay the word to everyone that he couldn't help. And Dong-du and everyone followed the clue to a beer bar to find out if the Segway was here. Seeing the police calling his name, he immediately ran away from the emergency exit and quickly jumped into a truck. Dong-du didn't think much and jumped on that truck. Everyone could only look at the fish. Fortunately, the stone line stopped in front of the Segway, throwing the baton at the front of the new car, causing him to stop. After escorting him back, Dong-yu asked him if he knew who Otala was, but he didn't seem to understand what everyone was saying. Hannah just turned around and tried to curse him in Russian, making the smoky Segway show his face. This little mess. The brother has a little bit of energy and he also said a few sentences, but he was judged to be extremely stuttering. It wasn't until Dong-yu picked up his phone and started juggling that the Segway uttered in Korean and opened my phone. Dong-yu opened his phone, and the inside was full of Korean messages that he kept seeking. Just like that, the carjacker at home has a new ally with Dong-du's intense punch after returning to the team's secret base. The Segway still refused to cooperate, and the brother with new strength threatened him whether he thought it would be safe to leave the police. Originally, the gangster was not a simple person. The Segway also felt right because so many boys were returned and tried. He immediately began to reveal to everyone the location of each place where the gangster hid the money, and the whole group combined to count a total of 53 gathering points. So from the moment he collected information about the place where the money was hidden, Dong-du and everyone began to check each gathering place so they didn't forget to take pictures of each place. Send it to the gangster like this so that he can see that these policemen are not useless. At first the gangster didn't even pay attention to the crowd. But after a while, he realized that something was wrong, and hurriedly drove to a storage area where he found that his container was empty, and there was not a single penny left. Just because of a little bit of their own deception, Dong-du's group kept collecting a large amount of money for the police station. The bastard recalled that year when he was still a pawn under the tutelage of his grandfather. Back then, the bamboo was deceived by the slacker that the watch he handed over to the bamboo was very valuable. Until he took the watch to check it out, the watch seller said it was really worthless. Looking at it 10 times as well, he saw this container at first. He wondered when he would be able to fill such a container of money. 10 years is too long, so the bastard decided to use the watch that Mr. Slacker shouted at us. Punching him to death and becoming a new scumbag in the world of plum traders, he called the parachute back. He thanked him for reiterating his position. Dong-yu also warned him to prepare protective gear because he wouldn't use it. The money collected by Dong-du's group was broadcast on national television. The amount of money was so large that the police had to find somewhere about a dozen containers containing money. All of them are related to the illegal trade of prohibited substances and ammonia. This case has such a great impact that the director is now also affected. The police chief called the brother with the chain, but he was stunned. The house owner said that he was kicked out and had nothing to do with this case. Goodbye. Another good news that Dong-du's group received was that the golden rabbit would stand up to testify. When everyone went out to eat together, they realized that there was a big gap missing in the group. Dong-du was curious to know where the goat was. Did Zhong-han talk to him or not? The brother with the chain thought that the big fat friend must be a little busy. It's true that for the sake of money, I still go to work as a real guide. Because of the case, the large amount of dirty money of the Duzong was exposed. His internal affairs began to dig through when the dugong owed money to the falter. While he owns such a large amount of money, the candy merchant withdrew first. Not wanting to participate anymore, he was immediately stopped by the Du. Tell me I have a bigger contract to discuss. But after the last incident, no demon dared to believe in him anymore. He brought most of the chains with the pink goat to the Noodleongs in shopping mall. It is possible that the Duzong is distributing drugs there. So the two began to bring a photo of the candy shell containing apricot to the Ongs in commercial area. I asked them one by one, but no one knew anything about the candy, they said. Until he received a message that his loan was not approved. My brother just told me to go first, and I came about 30 minutes later. When coming to ask for a loan for athletes, the red goat realized that the head of this loan was Dong-du's former coach. After arriving at the base of the Duzong, the candy dealer asked him why he was selling this thing to women and children. However, he didn't care who used it or not. In front of Du Zhong's eyes, he was still silently sharing with the same Chinese self-eating name, no matter what the devil tried to say. Meanwhile, Dongdu is still walking around looking for clues. Suddenly, he had a headache due to the injury. Even worse, the juniors of the dugong were here and surrounded the crowd. Because he has internal injuries, Dongdu only knows how to act instinctively. He only managed to fight back a few times, but then he was quickly defeated by the bears. When Dongyu tried to open a way out for himself, he was surrounded by robbers right now, and he couldn't run. Dong Ye's coach was also present, and asked these juniors to stop, to deal with the traitorous student with his own hands, even if the situation is extremely unstable. Dongdu told the coach that he still had the strength to fight back. It is true that he can hit a real shot, but then he is also measured immediately. The fact that Dongdu suffered internal injuries was also known in advance by the coach, because he was the one who gave Dongdu a painkiller when he was playing in the professional league. It was that medicine that would cause Dongdu's internal injuries to slowly make him blurry and eventually blind. Dongyu heard this and wanted to stand up and protest. However, because of the exhaustion of strength, Dongdu was also temporarily stopped by the coach of the country for a while. Until Mr. Di Hong came back. All that was left was Dongdu's phone and bloodstains left in front of the door of a stall. Dongdu, after being knocked unconscious, was also brought in front of the dudong. He took out a kind of apricot because he wanted Dongyu all over the country, bluntly injecting a large amount into Dongdu's body, causing him to convulse and paralyze with the dosage day by day. The traveler wished Dongdong a safe journey to the afterlife and then began to let the container carrier go. After the brother brought the chain with Hannah to the place. Knowing the news that Dongdu was taken away, the brother with the chain only knew how to drag Captain T's head and curse, and Dongdu after waking up. Fortunately, before that, the candy merchant had promptly snuggled into Dongdu's hands a medicine to help her stay awake. After regaining his spirits, Dongdu pushed the door of the container open, rushed straight into the car of the same person and quickly fled into the reed forest. Dudong's people didn't chase after him because he had already let people follow him closely. The two men in clothes who were holding knives quickly went to the winter pepper cabinet. But Dongdu was able to save it each time he was stabbed and ran away without knowing it. I was trapped by the girl traveler, transform into a hairy drug spider on the street with a dangerous atmosphere. What Tui reported on television is an extremely dangerous new spider drug that can cause death. Dongdu's team, when they learned that this friend was drugged, everyone also began to divide to find and worry about the crowd. I don't know where this brother is now. When she went to Dongdu's gym, she didn't find anyone. After searching for a while, he brought a chain to call back to inform the stream that the east is heading in the direction of the East Island. Let's start looking for Dongyu from Wu Dindong first. On the way to search for the crowd, he brought a chain to call the owner of the pawn shop. When I asked, I learned that Dongdu was wanted by the traveler's people. He has hung 100 million yuan for anyone who catches Dongyu. Everyone drove like crazy on the street. Even the director of the department was taken over by the Du. As long as he didn't do anything or interfere in his affairs, everything would be fine. After a night of searching, the island found a car that was beating the drum and there were blood stains around. Dongyu was full of wounds, half dreaming, half awake, extremely critical, and the demon didn't know when he appeared here. Quickly approached the east side and injected him with a medicine. This will help Dongdu react less to the drug rush and be more alert. After saving Dongdu, the island called the brother with the chain to tell him where the name of the bunch of Chinese people came from, intending to stab the stream of stones. Fortunately, he quickly reversed the car, then ran away. The name of the car is the same as the name of the car at the pawn shop's house. The two guys pushed each other to see who came out to get the pizza. But when the driver just went out, it was the Russian climber who caught his eye. Suddenly, not straight betrayal. He was killed that very night. The island does not know where to go at this time because the hospital is full of people of the gangster. It is impossible to bring Dongyu there. He had no choice but to call his brother for help. When he saw the crowd, the brother of the island thought he was crazy. But he was really serious. The island line wants his brother to help with one thing, which is to save Dongdu. In return, the stone line ceded all his inherited shares to his brother. Only then can Dongdu survive. Seeing that the person you love is mentally unstable, not even sober, so everyone feels left out. Hannah decided, if the person she loves used to be crazy about her, she could do the same. Back half a day ago, Hannah admitted to the stream that she really liked to travel. She apologized for not being able to respond to the feelings of the stream. Meanwhile, at the police station, the name of the department director has disappeared, making Mr. Man Sick also feel a headache. I heard that he went to Seoul yesterday to do something. At this time, the island had just arrived at the police station when it received a report about the Golden Rabbit. Arriving at the place, only the scene was left with the remains because the Golden Rabbit had been assassinated. In the police station now, there are teeth marks of the street name everywhere. Meanwhile, in a banquet hall on Seoul, Tang Dong was discussing with high-ranking officials such as the director of the department and the head of the prosecutor's office. After returning to his own office in the old pawn shop, he and his brother Man Sick saw that the surrounding scenery looked extremely chaotic. The Man Sick brother kept shouting the name of the pawn shop owner to answer the phone, and he also returned. All they could see was the Russian's name lying dead on the ground. But there was still a lack of a bald eagle. Suddenly, a noise in the prison next to the wall caught everyone's attention. The night before, when the Russians came here to liquidate the disciples, Kwang Se realized that something was wrong, so he hid in the prison next to the wall. The light car only remembered one thing, that is, before he died, the Russian had already pronounced a name, Leo Vladimirovich Vasky. Man Sick recalled that in Russia people would keep their father's name. If so, it is possible that the Russian name said something to the father of the climber. He got mad and fired a bullet at the Russian's body. And the car was also hit by bullets and cried like you. The soul discovers Hannah's diary investigating her father's case that year. Brother Man Sick was curious to read it, but he didn't expect Hannah to investigate so deeply about the Russians. At the candy production facility containing apricots of the name Duongdong, the juniors were hurriedly repacking the goods, preparing to be transported for consumption in the country without knowing that this facility is about to be solved. The demon on this side followed the address given by the street name, arrived at the house where her sister was staying, but when she opened the door, she caught the devil's eye, who was extremely critical and addicted to drugs. I didn't think that the person I had worked so hard to find after decades was now living and hiding inside, like a person who has no awareness of life at all. The devil tried to ask his sister if she remembered this brother. Then I asked who the person who gave me these candies was. After Dong Yu woke up from the nightmare, Hannah was always by his side, but she was only afraid that Dong Yu would open her eyes and not see her anymore. Fortunately, Hannah was always here, burst into tears when he saw the pitiful situation of Dong Du. Dong Du still wants to see more Hannah, but he was too tired to do so, so Hannah brought Dong Yu back to sleep, gently slapped the face full of wounds. On the current news, the juniors who had been dealt with by the crowd were rioting everywhere. Hannah, in order to be conservative for her beloved, decided to go and try that evil name as soon as possible. When the island came, he only saw Dong Du sleeping well with Hannah's listening hand next to him. Hannah arrives at the police station. She wants to get all her guns and ammunition, with the excuse of going to support the handling of wild animals such as wild boars. However, she took the pile to the area where the Wanderer's apricot candy was made, determined to make him return his life to Dongdu. Crossing the floors of the building, Hannah found a fairly open place suitable for assassination. The brother with the chain with the pawnshop owner had just moved the goods to Donjia's place, and he wondered where Hannah was. The owner of the pawnshop suddenly remembered some documents related to land, so he began to sift through the pile of files and threw them on the table. The owner of that land is David O, the son of the notorious smuggler of the old days I was. The Seoul line immediately went online to investigate and found that his Korean name was Min Du Line. He realized where Hannah was. As Hannah prepares to aim at the common man, the wanderer came out from the inside, causing her to change her mind and point her gun directly at him. Coincidentally, at this time, she was selling candy because her sister was harmed by a nomad. She was angry and wanted to deal with every woman who was easily bullied by men. The juniors of the wandering sect did not control the devil. The reason he did so was that he had discovered that the devil had betrayed him to save Dongyu. In order to punish the wandering demon, he hurriedly stuffed a few candies that he had just invented. It made the devil immediately fall in love. Suddenly, there was a phone call to the traveler as if to inform him that he was in danger. Immediately, Hannah aimed a direct shot at the wanderer's head and pulled the trigger. Blood gradually flowed out, but luckily it was just a glance at his face. The wanderer was surprised and ran away. Except for the first shot, she couldn't shoot any more of them in the following shots. The brother carrying the chain because he needed help to save Hannah went to the police station, but everyone left. When I called the dike, I only saw that the police had been corrected by the director to the mayor's office. There is no one here who can help the brother carry all the chains. Hannah, after her actions, she began her own escape mission. The juniors of the wandering line, so Hannah also had to be careful and slowly feed each of them a pill. Instead of all rushing up, these fools went up one by one. Giving Hannah the opportunity to deal with them one by one is extremely easy. The traveler, because he wanted to personally deal with Hannah, also entered the elevator to go upstairs, and Hannah on this side continued to struggle with the juniors of the gangster. But this time, during the confrontation, she was thrown down by the juniors with the bag to the bottom of the house. It wasn't until he finally got under control that he was willing to reveal that the Wanderer was currently on the 20th floor or the highest floor of this area. Hannah began to walk up to the upper floors. Coincidentally, this place has a warehouse for my Twee goods, so she also has a place to shelter. However, she didn't plan to ignore these guys. Immediately after a while, she acted, and was hit in the head by a rain of bullets. Quiet took revenge on her beloved husband lying at home. Hannah pushed the box and changed places, then unlatched a fire extinguisher and blinded the surroundings. Hannah slowly dealt with them one by one until she was cornered into the center of medicine. The Soul Line, after finding out the location where Hannah was staying, also rushed here to find her whereabouts. For every crime that looks ahead, there is a bunch of people, and when you look behind, you can also see people. When Hannah had just run to the elevator area, she was suddenly shot by a Tenzu who was extremely painful. That's when her hearing hand lost its sound. Dongzu had slowly woken up when he felt that something had to be done. Fortunately, Hannah was soon wearing a bulletproof vest, but the damage from the shotgun was too great. Tenzu asked her if she was just like this to kill him. It seems that the strength of the Golden Medallion Fairy is only that much. Tenzu asked Hannah why everyone wanted to point a gun at me. She just told him all about his crimes. Children do not forgive, do not love, kill people, vow to create traffic limits, and even sell candy and medicine. Lenzu thought for a moment and then admitted all her crimes in front of Hannah. He asked her if there was any evidence that he did it or not, but he didn't know. She used the specialized camera she had advertised to film and record what he said. Hannah's manager was playing a video of Tenzu Rong's confession online. No one in the police station could not see this video. Information about the live stream containing Tenzu Rong's confession began to stir up the media. Even the director now called the employees out of curiosity to see what was going on. Dongzu was now also able to see what Hannah had returned. The Wangsa curiously asked Dongzu how to do it, but the owner of the shop wanted to spin the door tomorrow, and let the Wangsa tell him that it was best to be silent. Tenzu on this side was mad and wanted to kill Hannah every time her gun ran out of ammunition. Tenzu thinks that these things are discharged to him because of Dongzu, but the Dongzu on this side to save Hannah did not hesitate to take a shot of a pile of painkillers. He had to go to save Hannah, but as soon as he went outside, he was dragged by Duzong's juniors to prevent the aftermath. Tenzu began to torture Hannah, dragging her away like a sack without knowing that the devil had given her a gun. Hearing the sound of gunshots, he immediately clicked the lift, and there was another group of bears in this place. She weighed 20 guys just now, and now she has to weigh more, a little tired. Dongzu on this side dealt with the other juniors as easily as eating candy. When the man called back, he only heard the sound of punching, so he immediately stepped on the accelerator and accelerated. Wider in times of crisis, fortunately, there was a broken goat brother to come to the rescue. When he was done with his majesty, the brother used a trick to force the others against the wall, and then shouted to save people. When Hannah approached the danger, Tenzu was surprised when a little more guns were pointed at him today. But Tenzu Rong said I wasn't wrong to point a gun in this direction. It turned out to be the night before. Before the Russian died, he revealed the name of the man who had murdered his father. That person was none other than Tenzu Rong. He had given him his father's gun, and now he was using it to point it at Tenzu Rong's head. Protected by Hannah hurriedly dragged the demon to leave first. Why did the middle man sneak up on him? So he shot at the other two guys and stepped back into the elevator. The man on this side didn't get to the Dongzu until he saw the sight of the Tenzu juniors lying around. The owner of the pawn shop said that he had just exercised his limbs to punch a little. What he was more interested in was Dongzu, but he was heading straight to the place where the director of the department was having a closed-door meeting with the prosecutor. Captain D. Rong only knew how to escort him inside. Dongzu bluntly walked up to the director of the department to punch him in front of everyone's surprise. Those who can't do anything for the people of the city let him do it. Just when Dongzu went out, he immediately met the man of the chain, so the two of them rode on the chain together and escaped. The creeper on this side also began to tell his own story that year, even though it was a little late. But he was saved by Hannah's father when he was just 18 years old. He gave the camera to Hannah, as a way to repay her for saving him that year. The goat on this side beat the first children and asked me if it hurts. Whether it hurt or not, he continued to fight and then began to look for seaweed. And the seaweed recognizes that he has a great charm with the name of the bunch of Chinese people. Whenever we see each other, we want to rush in and hug and kiss with a knife. Hannah, after saving the demon from danger, she picked up her father's camera and watched the tape that caused her father's death. She decided that she couldn't stay here so easily. Even Dongdu and his brother Mansik were present in this autonomous region. The Wanderer was in a hurry to transport all the money and drugs before being arrested. He called the market every time he didn't even bother to pick up the phone, making the Wanderer start to get mad from the moment he entered the ring. Dongdu determined that he did not stand up and knock them all away. Right now, everyone here will have to fight with the bad guys one by one. No one is unbusy. The National Athlete Detachment decided to put all its energy forward no matter what enemy it was, because learning will definitely win. At this time, the Wanderer remembered what he had done that year. The first is to kill the smuggled Otala and then take the gun from him. After that, he killed his father and took the gun and gave it to him. Tell me about how he knows who killed his father. Then finally that year, when climbing shoots Hannah's father who is not dead. It was the Wanderer who held the gun and fired bullets at Hannah's father, causing him to die and unable to be saved. That's why now Hannah and everyone else are determined to treat this nomadic name beautifully. Even though he was injured, Dongdu was still able to take a 10-man man. Rong Sol because he fought with the race, but he didn't love him because of that. After beating people, the goat brother still asked him if he was okay. In this way, do you want to scatter your hands? The brother wore a sewing chain with a bulletproof vest, so he could not be pierced by the bear's head. Then he took the steel pipe and knocked on the other guy's head. I told you to stay away from me. He was seriously injured because of a gunfight with the Wanderers Juniors. Although he couldn't go back to see his mother, at least he was happy to die before the person he liked, and he said goodbye to the devil. The Chinese race asked if Dong Yu was dead. He hated to say this, but he admitted that he lived a long life. He said that with the name of the race of Chinese people traveling in large numbers, he would overcome all fears to be able to level this place. The Dragon Soul asked if the other race knew what he hated more. That's when you lose someone else. After speaking, he took off his glasses seriously. Taking a few paths of power, the name of the other strain was instantly turned by the falling object. Thinking that every crime he played was over, picking up the knife and continuing to fight with the dragon, causing him to fall and roll. Hannah, after reaching the top floor, she took the guns from her subordinates and then carried the AK-47 to the street. Started firing bullets continuously towards him. What the street man didn't expect was the devil at this time because of his revenge. Grab the pink grenade and throw it at the street guy, leaving in an extremely cool way. Hear the sound of bombs exploding. Everyone was startled, but the street man still lived by the director's script. As for Hannah and the devil after leaving, they continued to have difficulties because of the juniors of the street. At the right time, the crowd came here to see that Hannah was in danger. He ran towards Hannah without a second thought. Give the other guys a fight. So a battle between husband and wife took place extremely spectacularly. After cleaning up, the street name also dropped down to the place. Hello, old friend of my street. He was extremely surprised to learn that Dong Yu was still alive and touching there. Without asking for an ear hole, how could Dong Yu die so easily? A constant upheaval caused the bolt of the bomb to loosen, causes the bomb to explode instantly. In such a thrilling situation, Dong Du still let go of the Hannah. Everyone gathered together at this time. The dragon soul immediately ran to the demon and saw that she was still alive. But the street man, when no one noticed him, quietly fled to another place. Because Dong Du is currently wanted, he can't just go out normally. Everyone thought of a way to put Dong Du in the trash. Then there was a headache stunt to take the street man's phone and put it in his pocket. The repair director heard that the crowd was here, so he also stopped by. The man in chains, as if he saw the devil at his feet. hurriedly inquired to see what was wrong with his jaw. What's wrong with it besides being fed rice dumplings by Dong-du? Meanwhile, the slacker on the side blamed the name of Dong-du's former coach. Because he still moved the car slowly, the police came there and broke through. He lamented that a pile of medicines had been wasted and recalled. But because the wide road is not here at the moment, the junior came to ask the scumbag what he should do with the rest of the medicine they could get rid of. They immediately wanted to bring the goods to another person who could consume them. The coach wanted to eat separately and called someone to bring the rest of the medicine. But he was also questioned a little by his junior. The coach threatened these guys that he was a medalist, don't joke. But standing in front of the whole group, see who should joke with whom. Currently, Mansik's team has no place to go. He only knew how to let his team stay at home for a day and bribe his daughter. Mr. Mansik forced Dong-du to stay here to avoid danger. But his face did not want to stay in one place. Mr. Goat Hong wondered what the group would have to do now. Suddenly, Mr. Mansik's toothless daughter came out and made a breathing movement that looked extremely strange. The goat said that the breathing style was the kind when a woman was pregnant. Hearing that his child was pregnant without knowing where the baby's father was, Mansik's brother also went mad. It's true that this child didn't know what kind of liver he ate to do this. After a while of walking, the two goats broke and kissed and went home first. Only Hannah and Dong-du were left to enjoy the moment when there were only two people. The vaccinated goat brother came home with a tired body when he saw his wife packing up. Seeing his bronze medal, the goat told his wife that he felt extremely embarrassed when he saw that bronze medal. So he was beaten a few times by his wife because she and the children had never felt ashamed that the pillar in the house had won a bronze medal. Currently, the two of them are crowded with Hannah like a real couple when he takes care of Hannah little by little. Hannah wondered why there were so many wounds on Dong-du's body and yet he tried so hard. Dong-du just told about how he was often beaten when he was a child. Whenever Dong-du's father was drunk, he was dragged out for a few matches. Hannah saw that Dong-du was so strong, and she was extremely proud. Hearing that, Dong-du started like a puppy again. I wanted to kiss her, but she wouldn't give it. But no matter how the purebred wild wolf is, each crime was going to be a love affair, but Hannah's mother broke it. Dong-du hurriedly found a place to hide before being arrested. Hannah hid her shoes and then opened the door for her mother. Her mother kept crying, afraid of what her daughter would do, but she was only a little weak. Seeing that Hannah's face was a little hot, she opened the door where Dong-du was hiding. Hannah had to pretend that she was sick to make Dong-du escape from being found stolen. When Hannah dragged her mother away, Dong-du hurriedly ran away from home before being discovered. There was no room to go, so the wandering friend couldn't help but be bothered by the crowd. Fortunately, it was okay in front of Hannah just now. Only when entering the toilet of the house, Dong-du began to reveal his illness when the injury situation became more and more serious. In the following days, his team carrying chains continued to be on duty on the road without any news about Min Du-rong. Hannah and her former head of the department have now also reconciled since the incident, thanks to a live broadcast that exposed the true face of the wanderer to the whole country. Hannah said that now the head of the department is the only person she can trust. The team continued to look for places that were likely to be visited. He only found out that in a warehouse there was a junior who was having love with his mistress. But when he saw the police, he ran away. Every crime he ran away from, he couldn't escape for people. Although the bear's name refused to be revealed, his mistress pulled out a list of 15 candy carriers. Just follow the route of the candy trucks and you will catch Song-woo and Yu-yu because they will not leave their goods behind. So the team began to divide up to each location of the wanderer's cargo truck. But the crowd must be tired, so temporarily guard in this place first. Dong-du didn't want to, but he was still stopped by the Song. It was only because Song Sol knew about Dong Ye's unhealthy condition last night that he was so worried about him. After gathering the police station, everyone begins to investigate the phone that Min Du-rong left at the scene of the last shooting. Investigating it, it was found that the last number was that of a rookie guarding the gun depot of the dike captain. The brother with the new chain called to confirm how the situation was. I only knew that he had been rotated a long time ago. However, the group still has clues about the way to transport goods of that name Min Du-rong. He carried the chain and called the toothed goat to ask if his friend had found the new soldier. But the response to the group was only an ambulance carrying the body of the new soldier. Dong-du realized that no matter where the name Du-rong went, Han definitely had backing in the back, so he had also identified the location of the wandering Min. He went straight to the mayor's building because he was sure that the name Min Du-rong was here. When they arrived, the higher they went, the more they were stopped. The wanderer saw that he was found out and dragged the chief out to threaten. He even bluntly shot when threatened by Hannah. Until they escaped from the building, everyone began to divide and continue to search. When the wanderer thought he had escaped from the crowd appeared to greet him. Surprise, it's not tomorrow time. It seems that you haven't learned the proper lesson when you think you can take me down. When Dong Yu almost lost his guard and the wanderer was about to kill Wan Ning, he just shot Dong Yu while climbing into the escape car. At the end, Dong Du suddenly became more seriously ill, and Dong Du began to fall into a state of unconsciousness. When Dong Du had just lost consciousness, the coach immediately appeared and punched him in the face. And sometime before the juniors of the common bunch of traitors wandered, this umbrella coach single-handedly dealt with the others and told us that we were the champions in the ring. After destroying them, he went to Dong Yu to judge him once because he was injured inside and could not see the enemy's position clearly. Dong Du was punched with blood and kept being suffocated, just fell down and fainted immediately. And the repair director, after being shot in the thigh by Hannah, immediately cried majestically like a pig being punctured, wanting a helicopter to take him to the hospital. Rong Han, after finding Dong Du, only to see that he was extremely mad and out of control, not knowing whether he was a friend or an enemy in front of him, and kept saying his name. Dong Yu calmed down and told Rong Han that he couldn't see anything anymore. Rong Han didn't want Hannah to know about Dongji's situation, so he pulled Dong Yu aside to hide like the two of them were eating each other. Dong Du is like a child full of love who does not dare to face the person he loves. Seeing Hannah coming, the two brothers asked Hannah to go see the director of the department with him to see how he was shot. When he went to see the director of the department, the Mansik brother angrily asked him where Min Du-rong was. Being treated like a pig like this, he still refuses to speak. Mansik began to scold him for being a furry panty. Only knowing how to occupy a place has no effect, and his self-esteem is extremely bitter. He also asked where Hannah was to blame her for shooting him in the leg. The Mansik brother didn't care. He could only curse and call this police profession distorted just because the name of the department director was too stupid. Zhang Han, for the sake of being able to restore Dongju, he led Dongju to Yaiseng Hospital to meet his acquaintance for safe treatment while he was still wanted. Seeing that Zhang Han cared so much about himself, Dongju smiled and thanked him, but was told not to laugh. This candy is beautiful, I guess you guys like to ship these two guys together. The name of the mayor on this side for constantly not listening to Zhu Zong's telegrams. He was punished by Zhu Zong and asked again what to do tomorrow. Tomorrow there is a ship from Japan coming. The mayor's mission was to help the Zhu Zong escape safely from here thanks to that ship. Otherwise, he would die with his family. After the mayor left, the junior urged him to quickly find the candy or the Japanese wouldn't leave him alone. And the current pile of candy is being kept by the common slack name for its own. None of these goods dared to be purchased because they were said to be goods belonging to the name Zhu Zong. I didn't know what to do. But my Russian friend came out of nowhere to say, "Hello, me friend." The slacker suddenly called out to this guy, "Who is your friend?" Zhu Zong appeared. "If it wasn't for you, why would it be someone else's goods?" This name thought that there were two guys on Zhu Zong's side, and immediately called for this number of goods to be divided equally. Because his juniors shed blood, and even the demons and climbers were lying down, the living must be divided fairly. Zhu Zong looked at him with cold eyes. "Okay, if you want to be fair, the living will take it all." As soon as he finished speaking, a group of Russian juniors appeared with guns and fired all their shots at these people. The next day, when Zhong was about to go to work, he thought Dongju was still sleeping. But when he opened the door, he couldn't see him anymore. But Dongju remembered that Hannah had come near her house to play with the puppy named Dongju, as if she had been waiting for Hannah for a long time. Hannah came to ask why she didn't reply to my message. Dongju said that his phone was broken, so he couldn't get in touch. But seeing the person she loved in front of Dongju couldn't help but massage her heart like a smiling child. The brother brought the chain to the side and asked why he didn't come here to do anything. When the goat brother came out, he immediately said loudly what to do in the hospital. I'm afraid that Hannah heard that Dongju had to call his wife to the hospital to get well. I guess it won't be exposed. Entering the scene, the captain of the security team said that yesterday the people heard the voices of Russians and gunshots. Without seeing the body of the rubber shock beam, he must have escaped. But the fact that Zhu Zhong's people came here through the 7 sections with a control cam could not be detected. The whole team suspected that someone in the station was secretly helping him. Captain N is also suspicious of having the most rat in his team. After the whole team went to the pawn office to investigate further, the chief stopped by and asked if this team thought it had been disbanded. But who would be afraid of such a large number? Not to mention the wanted guy too. Every crime of the chief brother coming here is not to catch the Jew, but to want to pass on the message from the director of the department. The chief complimented Hannah on what kind of shot he had in his thigh last time, but he didn't have a single nerve. It's true that gold medal athletes are different. The man who called out to shoot a bullet in the buttocks was not satisfied. He had to shoot into the back hole so that he could not walk before he could relax. The director of the department said that at present, the director of the department also allows everyone to secretly catch the name of the other line of Minju. Originally, he and the name Minju had nothing to do with each other. It's just that when he meets that name, he has the power to take over both the market and other powerful people. He once said that he didn't just have power beyond money. The whole group thought for a while about what that kind of power was. Zhu said that he was a person who specialized in taking advantage of other people's weaknesses to make them obey. He must have papers or records about the person he was recruiting. He was originally an officer in the customs department. His job at that time was to manage the integrated database. Integration for the collection of relevant documents and papers where he needs them. Use those invoices to intimidate companies and then get dirty money. Then overthrew Oda Law and deceived the climber. Just like that, little by little with the collected papers. Create your own agenda. Now, Dongzhu's team only needs to find those piles of papers to be able to clean up the pile of mite droppings that the Zhu River has discharged. But the current problem is that the team does not know where to start. Dongzhu shouted, "Just ask the name of the Zhu line directly." So after planning, Zhonghong called the captain's team to calm down and began to divide the tasks. Large-scale investigation in the south of Yizhong. Then give each of them a walkie-talkie to report the situation. This is the plan of the Dongzhu team. Taking advantage of each radio that had been tapped beforehand to see which of the most rats in Captain AN's team was informing the Zhu line. The whole group was listening intently when they couldn't catch the waves. The owner of the pawn shop called out the bald car with a lot of niches, but he didn't get anything. Anxiously, he held the antenna to catch the waves high. After listening to the information for a while, finally the group found a guy who was calling the Zhu line. The man felt lucky that he was not Captain N. After Captain N learned the news, he angrily went to his younger brother in his team to save him from life and death. Asked about the phone where he had called Zhu line. He kept denying that he didn't do that until Dongzhu found the phone sprinkled in the back of the main seat. Seeing the clear evidence in front of him, he only admitted that he had only recently accepted this job. He only provided information about the investigation as well as the police's route. How did he know when he assassinated him? Dongzhu asked about the youngest brother in the team, which made Captain N go crazy. He admitted to the fleeing car crash at that time. He himself made an appointment with the youngest brother in the team just because he was discovered. But when the youngest brother didn't notice, he was killed. It is true that there is no human love left. At this time, the whole group was not knowing how to call the name of the Zhu line. Dongzhu said that he would call back no matter what kind of time he was because he had lost the cash container. For him, it was definitely a big shock. So even a little fake movement would make him extremely uneasy to call back. As soon as he finished speaking, he called back. Dongzhu told the most rat to do the last right thing you can do. When the Zhu said about the place he was going to pass, call the best mouse to open the way at the Gunzian intersection for him and a truck. Dongzhu was about to leave, but Brother Mansik was extremely surprised. Since he was punched in the head too much, it's been smart. Afraid of losing too much, the team began to set out to look for the Zhu line's car. Mr. Mansik called Zhahong to monitor which way the Zhu line was going. But the current Zhu line is still suspicious of being watched in the words of the most rat name. Until he got down to a cellar, he stopped the Misha. Zhahong reported that the Zhu line's car entered the tunnel and did not come out anymore. It seemed that he really knew that he was being watched. Until the East Zhu and Mansik arrived, the Zhu line left his car. The possibility is to rob the car of a person traveling in the opposite direction and then flee across that road. Zhu Shui realized that he was no longer safe. Lin told the person to destroy all the documents he collected without knowing it. Hannah was working with the pawn shop owner to find out where the pile of documents he had kept was being stored. The bald eagle remembered the name of the market that used to be the rampaging district chief. It is likely that the name Zhu will hide the documents in the Zhongshan district, where the current market used to rage. Hannah looked at the list and realized that it was the first project in the market. So when everyone was destroying the documents, the police immediately arrived to prevent the destruction. Successfully recovered a trove of corrupt documents that the Zhu clan had seized from large and small companies, in which the profile of the T Corporation is what everyone is looking for. Now there is a reason to arrest the Zhu line and the name of the corrupt market. The name of the market, since he knew that he was dangerous, was extremely urgent, urging the employee to get the car for him to run away. As for where he had just gone, Mansik's team appeared there. There are people who go this way. There are also people on the other side who make him only know how to turn himself thin because he can't run anywhere, after being arrested again and declaring all about the name of the Zhu line. Dong Zhu dazzled him with a tie and waded through the green tape, then pushed him close to the elevator as if he was bowling, an absolute score. The goat boy pushed him in front of the journalists who were waiting here. He was like a pig waiting to be pulled out for meat. He just shouted that I wasn't the market. Why would he do that to me? When everyone was having fun, Hannah realized that something was wrong with Dong Zhu, so that Hannah didn't notice the stone that had covered him. At mealtime, when Hannah went to get water, everyone asked Dong Zhu if he was okay. He was a little buttery. As soon as Hannah came back, Dong Zhu laughed again as if nothing had happened. Hannah could see that something was wrong. By the time he left, he didn't see the flow of the island with Dong Zhu, but Dong Zhu was continuing to have orange bleeding. The stone line told him not to be stubborn anymore because it would be exposed. Hurry up and put your shirt back on. Don't let Hannah see it. Seeing that Dong Zhu can't be installed, the line of stones that had been slowly installed for him made Dong Zhu curious. Did I send it to you so much? Brother Mansik once told me I owe you all my life, because you used to give up all your inheritance just to save me. I also have the charm to exchange for that fortune. Hannah had just arrived when his brother Mansik hurriedly informed Dong Zhu that the nursing home was calling him. The man of the Eastern Zhu has woken up after undergoing surgery to heal his injuries since being shot by the Zhu. Seeing Dong Zhu's expression, he was extremely sad. Because Dong Zhu is like a son of nothing. Look at Dong Zhu doing everything like this for me. What told Dong Zhu? Let's just rely on each other and live. Mother's son. It's been a long time since Dong Zhu felt the friendship of family. Lin burst into tears like a child. The next day at the police station, while interrogating the cowardly rat, Captain said that he had been involved in gambling and borrowing at high interest. Why did you get that name Minju Rong to earn money to pay off debts? Mr. Mansik suddenly received a phone call. Announcement of finding the name Osongu, the former trainer of Dong Zhu. Dong Zhu hurriedly wanted to follow him to punch him, making Mansik also helpless, so that he can stay in one place. When he arrived at the place, the younger brother called out to stay here and wait. But how can you stay in one place? Dong Zhu also removed Mr. Mansik's steering wheel. Go to your old trainer with the steering wheel in your hand and ask you where you're going. The running track is over. The trainer asked if Dong Zhu was not beaten enough. Then he was about to make a move, but Dong Zhu had a weapon. This time, I'm gonna show you what the festival is. The Zhonggu who was punched hurt so much that he also had to play dirty. Holding the sledgehammer, he repeatedly thrust into Dong Zhu. But fortunately, thanks to him, Dong Zhu was able to remove the steering wheel. Although he was a little careless, the current Eastern Zhu was in the peak state, so it was easy to defeat this Zhonggu. You used to stand in the ring. I thought you were very good. In the end, it was just a time when the opponent was weak and made a move. Dong Zhu today decided to repay him for what he had done to him. Now that I think about it, I just remembered one more thing. Every time you go to the ring, you say, if greed is too big, the fist will be heavy. So it's over. Brother Mansik just saw Dong Zhu and shouted at his brother why he brought the steering wheel out. Very good bastard. Hannah had just arrived here, and the pink goat immediately stopped her. Hannah asked him if he knew about Dong Zhu's condition. Was it true? Dong Zhu tried to laugh, but only said that he had just lowered the name of Wu Zhonggu, so he was fine. But when she got home, she immediately exposed it to the east, and it was really not right. If it hurts, you should tell it hurts, but why keep trying to hide it? Hannah had known for a long time, but she apologized for not being able to ask because she was afraid that Dong Zhu would be sad. Hannah hoped that Dong Zhu would recover quickly, otherwise she would give him a blow. The Zhu Zhong on this side is because he asked the addicts to do something. He went to the drug den and gave the crooked guy a try, but he didn't believe it. Zhu Zhong only had a way to feed another crooked dog candy. Seeing the other crook's immediate expression, the crooked man asked Zhu Zhong how much of this thing he had. He said he had a truck. But the crooked guy didn't have enough money. Zhu Zhong didn't want money at the moment, but also gave him the whole truck. As long as he helped with one thing, it would be fine. And Dong Zhu on this side after receiving the devil's promise. He had come to see her to see what she was trying to say. Arrive at the pier where the devil is standing. Dong Zhu said that it was time for her to return the book to someone else. The devil named Zhu Zhong was a madman beyond imagination. When what he didn't have, he would definitely have to destroy it. He also advised Dong Zhu to be careful because he was already in danger. In his hand is the address of the factory where the devil's candy is made. Dong Zhu realized that maybe Zhu Zhong was trying to detonate the truck that was transporting Zhu Zhong's candy. He called back and told everyone to immediately stop the truck. The Zhu Zhong sat on the side waiting for the timer to explode. But Dong Zhu's group tried their best to block the head of the other truck. Successfully turned it in front of a major crossroads. When everyone was about to approach that truck, it exploded, but fortunately no one was injured. However, that car was not the only thing that exploded. The Zhu Zhong had planted bombs all over the Xizang area, as if he wanted to destroy the entire city. After the ambulance arrived, she exploded the bomb on Mr. Mansik and Mr. Jihong with a little lethality on the head. The Mansik brother burst into tears, but fortunately he was still alive here to go home to meet his daughter. The current situation made Dong Zhu not know what else that crazy name Zhu Zhong could do. He immediately went to the department director's infirmary to ask him if he only knew how to be a coward and hide here like this. South Korea's police force, sworn to protect people's lives and safety, is determined to deter and suppress bad actors. Wasn't he just going to throw away his honor and hide here like this? The director of the department said that those with positions of authority have been under the control of Min Zhu Zhong for several years. How could a small person like Dong Zhu be able to deal with all of them after gathering with everyone? According to many statistics found, the name Zhu Zhong prepared 5 trucks to enter the city to explode. However, only 4 were detected. Dong Zhu suspected that the 5th ship was being prepared for something. Mr. Mansik forced the chief to coordinate the unit to quickly find the 5th one immediately. Mansik was also curious why Dong Zhu knew that those trucks contained bombs. So he led the group to meet the devil, who was once wanted and now turned to the side of the police. When people inquired about the rush, the devil said that he would say that it would be good if there was a bowl of hot kimchi soup here. Dong Zhu said that she would have it if she said it all here. Because of his fascination with boys, the devil asked everyone to think about it. Now who is secretly behind the scenes pulling out the name of Min Zhu Zhong? This name Min Zhu Zhong has a special appeal to women. Remembering that he often stopped by a flower shop, maybe that was a clue to make everyone catch that name Min Zhu Zhong. So the next day, everyone immediately went to find information about the florist. Zhong Han received a report that the florist had left about 2 days ago and did not return. It seems that she also received intelligence that she herself would also be investigated, until the evening while investigating together. The current Zhong Han was getting closer and closer to Dong Zhu, no longer the kind of disgust he had in the past, but now he was like taking care of a child. Dong Zhu, to show his kindness, also invited Zhong to kiss a piece of cake. Considering that it increases a little brotherly affection, Hannah looks like she is now more like a passionate woman than a love heroine. Since the name of the slack, the squirrel snatched Zhu Zhong's goods. Now he only knows how to hide and hide like a dog. Tried to ask for aid so that he could return to China before being arrested by Min Zhu Zhong. Meanwhile, Dong Zhu was guarding the door with Hannah at the place where the flower shop owner lived. Brother Mansik was worried about Dong Zhu, so he went to the hospital for more checkups. But he refused to listen. Jihong called to tell Mansik that he had found Kim Zuna when she went shopping at a convenience store. So the whole team gathered at Ms. Kim's house. Tell me that if you help Min Zhu Zhong hide his location, you will also be considered a wanted criminal. As long as she said it, the police would definitely protect her to the end. So Ms. Jean revealed that Min Zhu Zhong really wanted her to leave this country with him, and the place he had promised was the Victory Hotel. The team immediately set off to the meeting point of Min Zhu Zhong. But when it was crowded with Jihong looking from the outside. Not Min Zhu Zhong, but people who look extremely strange. Today there was a meeting here to gather major shareholders. Jihong and Dong Zhu immediately gathered with their team. It seems that the Min Zhu Zhong is trying to sell something to these people, which is why they have gathered here in such large numbers. So the team began to divide the work among each other for further follow-up. Dong Zhu and Zhong Hong will go to the meeting hall. Brother Jihong and Hannah will notice the arrival of the lady named Min Zhu Zhong. Min Zhu Zhong belonged to a security guard in this place. like the man who fought with the ghost sick. And when she walked around, she also found a pile of white powder scattered on the floor. She called to ask the devil, and she said that it was not Chi Xianhua. Just when Jihong didn't notice, Ms. Kim immediately ran out of the hotel building in a taxi. After the group gathers together because they know that Ms. Kim has left here. The demon called and told the group that the white substance was not Chi Xianhua that Hannah found but did not cause an explosion. But if it combines with water, it produces nitrocyanide, a biotoxic gas that can be completely deadly and flammable. Then it can also cause a big explosion. It took the 5th truck to transport the explosives to this place to knock down the building. If the high-ranking officials were killed, most of the Ingsun system would be completely paralyzed. It was also a way for Min Zhuzhong to escape from this country very safely. So the whole team immediately ran into the hall. Tell everyone to leave here as soon as possible before the bomb explodes. But no one believed it because there were so many people here. A wanted person is on TV. The Zhuzhong name on this side is deviated. Start turning off the lights and close the door completely. The poisonous gas began to spray into the inside of the hall, and these people were afraid to run away from here. The current door is also closed, and there is no place to cry and shout back. It's true that the high-ranking officials who are brainless and refuse to listen to others are now fighting for each other's gas masks one by one. Otherwise, everything will be even more dangerous. When those officials only complained about the goats blocking the exit. He was so angry that he was all silent. It'll only be good if you know how to hold the hood and go down like a polite person. That's why those stupid officials are willing to go in line without jostling anymore. Until everyone went down to the parking garage. The door to the cellar was blocked, making Mr. Manchain extremely worried. Will that Zhuzhong ever plant a bomb outside that door? The outer door began to be opened. Everyone gradually stepped back in surprise. The director of the department has mobilized people to come here and decided not to become a weak person who succumbs to Min Zhuzhong anymore. This trust saved all these high-ranking officials. He went home and declared himself the greatest police director of all time. Fortunately, Dong Du had brainstormed the director of the department before. He said that this would be an opportunity for his reputation to become more and more famous. What's wrong with scratching this old man's stupid place? He came right away. So in front of his own storm and not under the constraints of the Min Zhuzhong, the director of the department also decided to mobilize the entire police force. Veteran athletes are all starting to wear their inherent confidence. To be able to protect this medical area from the mob, protect people from danger. Currently, Zhuzhong is driving a red car on the highway. Hannah and her police team were ready once again to be able to aim at the Zhuzhong accurately. Successfully chiseled the disguise of Min Zhuzhong's car. However, when Mr. Dihong ran up, it was just a car that distracted the junior. The real Zhuzhong was on the black license plate 70B1632. The bald eagle called to Dong Zhu, announcing that Zhuzhong was on his way to board the Russian ship that was about to leave the Jinzhong port. He had to hurry up before he could escape. Arriving at a ready-made warehouse, Zhuzhong took the goods from Miss Kim but immediately gave it to the person who killed her without hesitation. And he took the chain on this side to look for it and met the guy who had wrestled with him again. This decision must live with him in the battle. Meanwhile, Mr. Dihong also met the enemy of the fallen bear last time. It must also be admitted that this bear is also really strong when he can take down a person as big as Mr. Dihong. The Zhuzhong thought that he could get out of the saddle easily. A gang of gangsters who hid their faces suddenly appeared without criticizing him, and took him back for interrogation. Dong Zhu and Dihong also discovered Ms. Kim's body earlier. He decided to find him with Dihong before he harmed anyone else. Arriving at Jinzhong port, Dong Zhu also discovered Zhuzhong's car, so he went deep inside with Dihong. Seeing that the other children were beating the Zhuzhong brutally, Dong Zhu was jealous and came forward to assert his sovereignty over the gangsters. This guy was in his possession. Don't touch it, so it was to protect Zhuzhong's name. The two Dihong and Dong Zhu have started a 1-pound battle that looks extremely strong. Dihong called Dong Zhu to quickly run after the Zhuzhong. And here, just leave it to yourself. Meanwhile, the Mansik on this side is equally cool when he decides to return to the glory days again. The athlete decorated the re-emerged wrestling bronze. He poured all the oil on his body and the wooden floor. Starting with the other bear's head alive, a game was played. Mr. Di Hong, although a little difficult, has learned the dirty game a little. After that, he used the Zhou trick to make him fly 10 meters away. The Zhu Zhong thought he would live. But avoiding one group after another came to calculate him. In front of these first children, he didn't have the slightest resistance. Just let the commander-in-chief of the search for the East Zhu appear to protect the mechanism. Dong Zhu called Zhu Zhong to run first so that I could deal with these people. Meanwhile, the Zhong Han inside had also eliminated all the remaining juniors. But the Zhu Zhong still had no strength to run. Stabbed by the name of the rubber shock in an extremely painful shot. Each of the treasure sins of the two generals is so easy to move. Zhong Han's father has already appeared here, that long-haired spring boy. The new debt and the old debt are all enough. Zhong Hong decided to win and lose again with him after 3 fights. When Dong Zhu was a little tired, Hannah's wife had appeared to trim the legs of the boys one by one in an extremely large number of fires. Mr. Zhong showed his discus-throwing skills. Throw away that Russian name and be proud that I am the father of Korean children. The discus shortcut also completely knocked down the big Russian bear. He carried the chain on this side and also won his own victory, after accidentally breaking the egg of the bear's head. After that, he turned around and celebrated the victory. Zhong Han also dealt with the shocked bastard, handcuffed him and took this shocked sister to the rice station. And Dong Du tried to chase after Du Zhong. I only saw him sitting breathlessly on the ship to Russia, dying. Dong Yu asked how he could betray the woman who had always helped him. Du Zhong said that his heart was also empty. However, the benefits are always put first. Dong Yu angrily punched him in the face. You know, I can kill people now, too. Every punch of Dong Du was squeezed. You don't have anyone by your side. No one asked Han to listen. I need this jaw intact before I go to the judge. Dong Du finally punched the pond. However, Du Zhong still did not give in so easily. He threw himself into the sea in front of the surprise of the crowd. However, the treasure he had spent a long time searching for, how could the crowd be ignored so easily? There is no fox. Tianli, I won't leave you. Dong Du seems to remember his high-class swimming ability in the movie When Life Gives You Determination. Successfully pulling this Du Zhong name to the shore, away from his hand will be a storm that will fly beer. After this fight, Hannah's mother went to her house to introduce her to a new handsome guy. However, Hannah refused and said that she already had an extremely handsome-looking object. Dong Yu, after catching Du Zhong, he returned to his aunt's restaurant to help my aunt run, and he also recovered from the injury is quite good. However, Dong Du still did not forget to visit the treasure in prison. He has been quite emaciated lately. He was because he missed the treasure so much that he couldn't eat and sleep. Dong Yu was afraid that Du Zhong was starving to death, so he also made him a portion of food. It was as if to thank him for making him the officer he is now. He said that in this world, there will still be greedy people like him. Dong Yu said that as long as there was a guy, that guy would be locked up just like my uncle. This meal was also the last meal that the Du Zhong enjoyed, because that very night, he had to face the death penalty of other evildoers who silently killed him. And Dong Du's team for successfully completing the task of overthrowing the most evil beam. Everyone is honored with the highest medal. The feeling may be more precious than the badge that everyone has achieved before.